more rah-rah atmosphere. Everyone's getting excited for the homecoming event. This weekend, everyone seems to, they know there's going to be a fight. They know this game's going to be close, and it will come down to the final plays of the game. On the sideline, you could see Graham Richardson wearing in his street clothes, unable to play this game. Potentially his last home game, potentially could be his last home game at Acadia, seeing if he comes back from his injury in time. There's going to be 100% back for the finals if Acadia is fortunate to make it. Hopefully for him, Acadia's final home game will be the championship.
Right, it's been something that hasn't happened in a while, and injuries are going to be a story of this game. Like we mentioned, Graham Richardson not playing today, starting weak side cornerback, going against St. Mary's #1 receiver. Also out for Acadia is Jarrett Laycock, starting defensive end, extremely quick and fast player off the edge that can disrupt the play and be good against the run, but especially against the pass. From the St. Mary's side, we know that Mark Holden is out with an injury, won't be playing this week, but they have some other players playing but are also banged up. All-Canadian defensive lineman Dan Shute nursing an injury this week. Jameek Taylor's been banged up for the majority of the year, probably the most dynamic player this conference has, and last year's AUS MVP and nominee for the Heck Creighton, as well as a little bit banged up on the defensive secondary as well for St. Mary's. So we're going to see how these injuries play out. You could see some players leaving the game, and that could affect different strategies.
Rostan sets up to return as Lautner sets up to kick the ball. It's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. Rostan's had a very good very few games last year against St. Mary's, getting close to to the 40-yard line every return. As we've mentioned numerous times when talking Mike Rostance is one of the best returners in terms of yardage and consistency. He's not the home run hitter, but he can do it. Lautner has really sturdied up their special teams last year for St. Mary's with his consistent kicking and being forced to replace Pilardi, who obviously graduated to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Very little wind today. Shouldn't be a big factor. May pick up throughout the game. But the decision of having to choose an end or which quarter you would like to throw into the wind versus throw against the wind, or throw with the wind, I should say, isn't a factor like it was last week. Last week with Mount A and Acadia, you saw teams looking to have the ball with the wind in the second and fourth quarters, so they get those longer quarters in order to move the ball better through the air.
And Lautner sets up to kick. Kicks it looks to Zach Clark, gets from 5-yard line. Clark getting out to the 20, breaks a couple tackles, and gets to about the 30-yard line, looking to be the 27, and Acadia sets up from the 27-yard line. John Shreve on the tackle. John Shreve seems to be around here forever, and he can play any position. I've seen him at free safety. I've seen him as running back. Seen him as a special teams maven. He does it all, whatever Coach Samara tells him to do.
Today we're going to kind of see him a little bit from that rebel position for St. Mary's and line up in the slot. He may block, may play running back, may take the fly sweep.
And Acadia in the bunch formation in the backfield. They call it the Apollo. As they leak out. Run to Skibbin on the outside. Skibbin continuing from last week, breaking tackles and looking for a 9-yard gain. Zach Skibbin on a great run there. Great block by what looks to be Reed Anderson. Kyle Norvis on the tackle.
Just a nice little lead play there to start it off, get some blockers out front of everyone, and Zach Skibbin ran really hard just to gain 9 yards and put Acadia in a very favorable 2nd and 1 from their own 37.
Acadia taking a bit of time from the huddle. Graves sets up under center. I formation. Skibbin in the backfield with Reed. 2-2 set. Fullback lead, Reed Anderson looks to get the first down, and a big hit on Mike Squires there. A little extracurriculars. Looks to be Neil King there, the physical free safety, younger brother of Andrew King and Ryan King, who people familiar with SMU football know those two some of the best linebackers over the last 10 years in the AUS.
Right, Ryan King ineligible to play this year. We'll talk a little bit more about his situation as the game goes on, but you're right, another great former SMU player that's now helping out them coach this year.
Acadia with the first down. Again, in the bunch formation, you'll see Acadia go to this often in first downs just to cause a little uneasiness in the defensive secondary. Graves sets up in the pocket. Throws. Pass to A.J. Derling for a 10-yard gain. Great throw by Graves. Great catch by Derling, finding the first down marks. Tackle on the play looks to be done by Neil King.
One of the reasons Acadia is going to this Apollo look, as we call it, We know that St. Mary's plays a lot of match coverage and man coverage. We'll talk a little bit about match coverage as it goes on. We've talked about it in our previous broadcast. But by lining up in the backfield before the snap, it doesn't give the defenders to be able to get a read on where these receivers are going to line up and therefore align properly, and just creates a little bit of confusion for them.
Reed Anderson lining up in the H-back position to the wide side of the field. Handoff. Oh, great. Keeps the ball. Looks to getting extra yards. Great blocking downfield by Reed Anderson. Graves falls for, looks to be about a 20-yard gain. Great running, great blocking downfield by Reed Anderson. Great run by Kyle Graves. The two roommates getting a lot of yards on that play.
Some great backside blocks by Taylor Renaud and Mike Squires. Mike Squires probably one of the most physical receivers in this conference, maybe even the CIS, and one of the reasons why he's getting some looks from the CFL this week. A few scouts came in through the AUS this week. We'll talk a bit about that later, and they were very impressed with Mike and his physicality.
Graves under center again, the off-Paula formation. Anderson motions out. Dive up the middle for Skibbin. Skibbin breaks it one-on-one and running over, and Skibbin fumbles on the, looks to be the 15-yard line. And what a great run by Zach Skibbin, ruined by an untimely fumble. Great hit by Neil King, and you've been playing that position. When you see a big man like that coming at you, it looked like he just closed his eyes, put his head down, and wish for good things to happen. And
that's happened. Right, Zach Skibbin. We've talked a lot about what he's like to do in terms of running and finishing his runs, and that was a great job at finishing the run. Unfortunately, he didn't have two hands on the ball, and Neil King got a good helmet on it and popped the ball out, and A.J. Derling wasn't able to fall on it. Now we have Smew ball inside the 20-yard line with 12:53 left in the first quarter.
Great run by Acadia there, but they got a finish on that one. Great play by Smew, bending but not breaking. Great play by King. Creighton sets up in the pocket and throws deep. And he's got a man open there on Brett Backman, who had trouble last time against St. Mary's offense. Play was to Ryan Tremblay, who did get over top there. Creighton looked like when he was throwing the deep ball today in warm-ups, he looked like he was getting a little too much air, and it was kind of sitting there. It looked like it was waffling within the wind.
Right. If you're going to get that ball deep in the air and you're going to put some air under it, you got to release that ball a lot quicker. With how far that throw is to the wide side of the field, that ball is going to hang up there, and it is a longer throw. He's got to either put more that ball more on the line, or he's got to throw that ball sooner to give his receiver a chance.
And look for that more often. If you see Acadia turn the ball over, St. Mary's goes up top. That's the book on Coach Samar, and he loves to do that. Again from a 3-2 formation. Creighton sets up, and he's going up top again, and he's got a step on Backman, and broken up by Brett Backman. That's two plays in a row where they've gone up top on Backman. I think they got a book out on Backman right now. The last couple of weeks, he's been having trouble on that long ball.
Brett's been having trouble all year when it comes to the deep ball, and he was especially exploited last time against St. Mary's. It was a close game, 1-1 score, and it wasn't until a long throw to Too Good last game that where Brett wasn't able to make a play on the ball that St. Mary's was able to separate themselves from the pack and take that 8-1 lead that they didn't give up.
Right, Grostan sets to return. Brett Lautner, the second year kicker, wide receiver out of Truro, sets up to kick. Katie looked a little off guard there. Hangs it up there. Rostans looks like he's going to get some yards on here. And stopped at the 50-yard line. Not bad field position. Look for Katie to build on this. Nice tackle by Raymond Cornish, the second year DB out of Winnipeg.
Also doubles as the boundary corner there, one of the most athletic boundary corners and well-taught corners that the AUS has this year. Will definitely, I think, be a AUS All-Star this year, and will challenge for an All-Canadian spot despite his second year.
And Skibbins back in, even though fumbling the rock on the last play. They're looking to build up his confidence. Let's see what the first play is. Reed Anderson lines up in the H-back, 3-1 formation. Run up the middle. Oh, play action. Graves throwing across the field. Derling to the 30, to the 20, to the 10, and Cornish. And that's a touchdown, Axemen. A.J. Derling coming across base. That is a St. Mary's play right there. That is taken out of St. Mary's playbook. Play action. Three receivers running across the face, throwing into the under receiver. Great pitch and catch there. Kyle Graves and A.J. Derling. Touchdown, 7-0 Axemen.
They went to play action there. Ran with the divide combination, a very challenging route combination for a 3 deep or any kind of coverage. Really, they sent the inside receiver to the opposite hash mark, challenging players coming back across. The safety was held. The inside waller on that match coverage. The second player took the vertical player deep with them, and the first player took the corner out of the position.
Shades of Hurricane Ivan Barungi coming on the under route and making big things happen using size and speed. Great play by the Acadia Axemen. Let's see how St. Mary's responds. They've been very successful the last couple of plays.
Was that Squires or was that Derling? Derling?
And now St. Mary's sets up to return the kick. Acadia, last two plays has been very successful. So we know Acadia's defense. We know what we're going to get out of them right now. This is a good lead for Acadia to get early. Now we got some pressure. Let's see if the Tom Levinsky-led defense can continue to hold its water. St. Mary's is going to come out and test Brett Backman.
They will, and you know what? They went after him with little success, and they went for high risk, high reward plays. Didn't get it. Were forced to punt back to Acadia. Very first play, Acadia made them pay. St. Mary's went away from their bread and butter there, which is running the ball, establishing a solid running game, and then working to the pass. By going against what they do best, they seem to have hurt themselves early in the game. We'll see if Steve Samara and their offense goes back to running the ball and grinding away on this Acadia defense.
I still remember last year when St. Mary's got up to that 0-3 start, and Coach Samara said very publicly, we're going to lose the games, we're going to lose them running the ball, and they came out against the Axemen, game 4 of the year, and rushed for 456 yards. Went in with 6 O-linemen, pulled out a tight end, put in their 6 O-linemen, and just ran and said, stop us, and they did it. Beijing sets up to kick the ball. Looks like Jameek Taylor's in the backfield. Ryan Tremblay on the return, and he's breaking some tackles, getting to about the 30-yard line. Nice little return there by Tremblay, who caught it from the shadow of the end zone. Tackle made by number 12, Glenn States, the first-year DB transfer out of St. Mary's, in a bit of a homecoming game again for him.
That's right. Glenn State's young player here, one of his early years at Acadia, but has a lot of physical talent and enjoys hitting. That's why he plays special teams here as St. Mary's scrimmage is just inside their 30 from the left side of the hash.
7-0, 11:33 left in the first quarter. Run right up the middle. Legier falls forward for about 3 yards. Looked like he couldn't get his footing on that play. Tackle made by, looks to be Tom Lebinsky, the middle linebacker out of Acadia in his 5th year.
Just a simple little dive play there. Like we talked about, Steve Samara looking to go back to the run there. Well executed by the Acadia defense, filling up their gaps and allowing their middle linebacker to scrape and make a play on the ball.
St. Mary's second and looks to be 8 from what looks to be the 33-yard line. Goes with an empty formation, 6 receiver set. Creighton sets up in the pocket, and they got some pressure. John Wilson blows a tire. Creighton keeps running. Ed McNally gives chase, and it looks to be a first down for the Huskies. We'll check the spot. It looks to be it. It's either 3rd and inches, and they'll probably go for it in this field position. Oh, and they gave him the first down. Great run by Creighton. Great play by the Huskies, putting Acadia in coverage, and Creighton showing that athleticism, why many people thought he would be the next Glavic.
That's right. He's had some struggles in the previous few years, but has really come into his own these last few games against St. FX and Mount Allison, and now looks to be a top quarterback along with Kyle Graves in this conference.
St. Mary's comes out in a 3-2 set with Legier set in the backfield. Jimmy comes under center, coming for the run on the wing package, and Anaka in on the tackle, and a late hit on Andrew Frazier there. No play. Don't be surprised to see St. Mary's taking shots at players like that. That's the second one we've seen so far. If you're standing around a pile against St. Mary's, you're going to get licked.
Right, they like to play a nice, tough, physical game up front. That one is borderline late, but overall at this point in the game, just a sort of a hello shot, just let them know what kind of tone they're going to be playing with in this game. We saw how last game ended between these two teams. We'll talk a little bit about that later and the implications that could lead to this game, especially with the front 5 of St. Mary's against the front 4 of Acadia.
St. Mary's comes out in a 4-1 set, 4 to the strong, 1 to the boundary. Legier in the backfield. Creighton sets up to pass, throws a strike to the wide side, and overthrows. Catch unable to be made by, looks to be number 82, Jonathan Watson.
Right, they went to the bunch set. They went to a 4-by-1, had 3 receivers in a bunch formation close to the line of scrimmage. Acadia dropped into kind of a cut coverage. They forced, with solid coverage deep, they forced Jack Creighton to throw his check down to the wide side of the field. Even though it's a short pass, with how wide that player is, it's actually a really long throw, about 30, 40 yards. And as a defense, that's why you want to force offenses to make those throws, make them check down, throw those wide side flat routes because they do have a lower success rate.
Lautner sets up the punt as the St. Mary's backfield calls out the blocks. Lautner with a kick to about the 40-yard line, bouncing, out of bounds. Acadia will scrimmage the ball from the 40-yard line. And another little hit, hello shot to Alex Graham. Welcome to the CIS. These guys hit. You know you're in a fight when you're playing against St. Mary's. Now Acadia will scrimmage the ball, 39.5-yard line. Last two drives have been very successful. Unfortunately for the Acadia offense, Skibbon fumbled the ball on the 20-yard line. Skibbon again in the backfield, 3-2 set. Graves in the gun. Skibbon running up the middle, running hard, fighting for yards. Looks to be about a 1-yard gain, 2-yard gain, gaining positive yardage.
Just simple little zone play, letting the backside free there, putting more players to the front side blocks and just picking up whoever comes into your zone. Very disciplined play by St. Mary's, filled their gaps and limited Zach Skibbon to a 3-yard gain on the play.
Acadia a little late coming out of the huddle. Graves sets up. Skibbon behind him, 3-2 set. Skibbon leaves early, empty set. Half sprint by Graves. Graves takes a shot. Looks to be a late hit on the play. Maybe a holding, but Graves taking a shot in the leg there. Will be interesting to see what the play is. Holding on Acadia. Travis Miller is not happy about that one, and that looks to be maybe big Dan Shute in there wreaking havoc. He's got a bit of a limp there, but Dan Shute making plays again.
Right, he just showed his incredible athleticism and why Dan Shute is a top player in this conference and in this whole CIS, first team All-Canadian. Acadia went with sort of the slide protection. Dan Shute backdoored or went away from where Travis Miller was blocking, forced Travis Miller to turn his feet and couldn't quite get there quick enough because of the athleticism advantage by Dan Shute and was forced to hold him in order to prevent him from hitting Kyle Graves.
And Shute is getting work on the sideline. Remember we said he was banged up. He's getting work from the trainer. Graves sets up, boom. Oh, and that is a bad kick for Kyle Graves. Uncharacteristic of Kyle. Remember, he did take a shot on the last play. Low hit by Shute as he piggybacked Travis Miller there. And that's an unfortunate play there for Acadia.
Right, very little pressure punting from his own 40-yard line or kicking from his own 32. Kyle Gray's been averaging almost 40 yards punt this season. So instead of St. Mary's potentially scrimmaging from inside their own 30, they have the ball now on the Acadia 45 with 8:15 left, and now have a chance to at least put some points on the board with the field goal, or potentially make some plays and get a touchdown here to even up the game.
And Graves looks like he's telling Coach Flaxman, I got a bit of, I slipped. We'll see what Flaxman has to say about that. Trick play there by Creighton, and they get pressure. Creighton dodges it and fumbles the ball. And there's a big hit. Andrew Frazier saying, I'm getting you back there, leveling the SMU lineman. This game is going to be rough on the front four. Acadia getting pressure again up the middle. Ed McNally looking like it was a blitz there.
Right, slow developing play there by St. Mary's. They went for a play action off of the sweep player to Jameek Taylor. Unfortunately, when you have any kind of those long developing play action plays, it forces your line to protect for longer, which allowed the blitz and overly athletic front four of Acadia to get home on that one and got a hit on Creighton and made him drop the ball.
And these two teams, the front four for Acadia does not get along with that five from St. Mary's. Creighton from shotgun, again under duress. Throwing to the deep route, Backman, and it is a caught touchdown on Brett Backman. You knew they were going to go at that. Creighton is hype, and Ryan Tremblay, third time they went for him, third time's the charm on that play. Touchdown St. Mary's, 7-6 with 7 minutes and 13 seconds left in the first quarter.
Now, we talked about it all year, that deep ball being kind of the Achilles heel of the Acadia defensive backcourt. They gave it up against St. FX early in the year. They gave it up against Mount Allison, and Brett Bappington was exposed that first game against St. Mary's. They've seen it on film, and now they're going after him. That's 3 plays now. They've targeted him. That high-risk, high-reward play has now paid off for St. Mary's. They even the score at 7.
Lautner adds the extra point. Anaka taking a bit of a hit there. These two D-lines, O-line are going at it now. This game's going to get fun near the end, folks. This is going to be a good one.
Right, and with that field corner position that Brett Backman occupies there on the wide side of the field, You don't get a lot of help there. It's very difficult for your safety to get over there and give you some over-the-top help. And what's even harder is just the amount of space you have to work with almost no one there. So if your ball skills aren't as good as they should be, it gives a big advantage to the receiver to get on top of you and make a play and catch the ball like they did on that last one.
And you see Coach Sean McLaughlin, the defense coordinator, having a talk with Brett Backman. Even Graham Richardson's giving in his 2 cents trying to help out Brett because they know there's a weakness in the Acadia defense right now. And
Right.
it's to Brett Backman. It's unfortunate to say for Brett, but they're going after him.
Right, Brett's gonna have to step up his play if he wants to give his team a chance to win. It is a team game, this sport, but within that team, it's a bunch of individual matchups that you hope to execute properly, and Brett's not doing his part right now.
And Rostan scrimmages the ball from the 20-yard line. He breaks a couple of tackles, falling forward, and looks to be getting to the 33-yard line. Great blocking by Acadia on that play as the ball hang. Rostan's finding his hole and hitting it hard, and now Acadia scrimmages the ball from looks to be the 36-yard line, or nope, 32. Not a bad return. 7-7 with 7 minutes left in the first
Right.
quarter of play.
Now going back to that, what preceded that play was the bad punt by Kyle Graves and put St. Mary's in attack mode essentially. Anytime you're working inside that 40, around that 40-yard line, teams love to take shots in order to try and get you over the top, and they succeeded there.
There's Skibbon running up the middle, running hard, breaking tackles, and again, Neil King looks like he wants no part of those tackles, just putting his head in there and hoping that he gets a good thing happens. That's the second time you've seen him duck on those hits.
Right. What I love about Zach Skibbon and his ability as a running back, and his difference between Brett Henney is when he comes towards contact, he dips his shoulder and he takes it on with his shoulder pads instead of Brett Henney, who's a bit more of an upright runner. And Brett being banged up mostly because of the fact that when he initiates contact, he takes a lot of those shots off the legs and causes him some issues, which is why he's banged up today with a quad contusion.
And now we see a measurement here on the play.
So with the exception of one run play today, we've seen Zach Skibbon pretty much average 9+ yards a carry. He's had a 25-yard in which he fumbled, but Zach Skibbon has now established himself as possibly the top running back in this conference.
And it looks to be that's Dan Shute down there on the sideline getting some work from numerous training staff. He looks like he's going to get stretched up.
But he has his
shoe off, which is never a good sign. They're going to be spraying him, and looks like they're going to tape him up. It'll be interesting to see what the status is on his return.
But as he walked over to the trainer's table, he was barefoot and putting almost no weight on that left foot of his. Is pretty much walking on his toes, showing he doesn't have a lot of stability over on that left leg. And we'll see how good of a tape job this can be done. But this could be a big loss for the interior of what is a great St. Mary's front seven.
Now Graves under center, 2nd and inches. Quarterback sneak, and it looks to be he got it. That's going to be measured again.
That should be a first down. Looks like they're about to give it to him, but a great play by Kyle Norris jumping over the top of the pile to try and secure Kyle Graves and bring him down behind the line of scrimmage. Great athletic play.
First down there is Coach Tom Flaxman relays the play to Stu Clough. Acadia moving the ball successfully on the run. Haven't seen this happen against St. Mary's in a long time since I think it was John Matheson rushed for close to 100 yards against St. Mary's in the opening game in the 07 season, or the 08 rather. Acadia now in their Apollo look, their bunch formation in the backfield. Goes to 3-1. Skibbon on the run, hitting the hole hard again, falling forward. Looks to be King in on it again, and King there with standing him up. Another 9-yard carry.
Anytime you can get to the free safety on the second level of a run play, you know that your front five and fullback are doing an outstanding job blocking. An offense won't account for a free safety when it comes to their blocking scheme just because it's an extra player that's normally occupied by the pass. So anytime you can get that far downfield, you have to consider to win. Again, another 8+ yard run for Zach Skibbon, and he's only been held to under 8 one time this game.
Acadia comes out with Kyle Graves under center, I formation, 2-2 set. Skibbon in the backfield. Another lead to Reed Anderson, and he gets the first down. Nice run by Reed Anderson, and they're fighting for a ball, but it looks like Reed has it. Fortunately, I remember Coach Samara saying in the past, and you were the receiving end of it, was my goal is to make the free safety the leading tackler of the game. And so far, Acadia is doing that to St. Mary's, giving them their own medicine.
Right, Steve Samara, I think, made me an All-Canadian my third year. I led the conference in tackles, not to toot my own horn, but toot. But a lot of that had to do with the fact that teams were running the ball against us, getting downfield, and forced me to make a lot of plays that would have otherwise gone for a distance.
And 3-1 Skiven again, hitting the whole hard and dashing for about a 6-yard gain. Not bad there. Great run by Zach Skiven.
Nice little zone play there by Acadia. Anytime you run a zone play, the way the O-line blocks is that everyone steps out towards on zone steps, so step to the right on that case, and they pick up the first player that comes across their face. The advantage with that play is it gives an extra blocker at the point of attack, but it limits you on the backside where a defensive end could bend down the line of scrimmage and make the tackle. With an athletic Kyle Graves, a lot of the time they'll shuffle and make sure he doesn't boot away with it, but I could see St. Mary's getting more aggressive and bending down that line.
3-2 set. Skiven. Graves looks to throw, throws behind Taylor Renault. Not a bad throw there, putting it only in position that Renault could get it, but he wanted to get a little more air on that. Renault was open on the back.
Yeah, just a little double slants route there. It's a great route against what St. Mary's is playing, man coverage there. Because of the outside technique they play, where St. Mary's lines up on the outside shade of Acadia defenders. Taylor Renault is able to get inside of it, but unfortunately Kyle Graves' release was a little slow and wasn't able to get the ball in there to his receiver.
Nice that he threw it low there. The old Kyle Graves would be throwing it a bit higher, giving a chance for a turnover, putting it only in a place where his receiver can get it. Now Graves sets up to punt, hoping for a better one than last time. And it is a booming kick to about the 10-yard line. Jimmy Taylor with the catch on it. And there's John Wilson giving chase. And there's a tackle for no yards there. You're wondering if Samara was wondering if he wanted his playmaker to let that ball go into the end zone and get better field position. Acadia is loving this. What would you say there, Elliot?
Well, it looked like there's a Shoemaker holding Morales there in on the tackle. Great play there by Acadia. Cover teams, both their gunners got great down there. Acadia's the obvious side, they're going to kick to the most dynamic player in the conference, Jameek Taylor. But with the confidence they have in their coverage team, they're able to get down there and hold them inside the 7-yard line with 4:06 left. 7-7 game right now. Could end up being if they're able to hold them here, it could be a 2-point swing for Acadia.
Run up the middle there. Legier gaining yards. Cam Wade in on the tackle for about a 10-yard gain. Nice run by Legier, who the league's leading rusher, and surefire, in my opinion, should be the AUS MVP this year and the Heck Crane nominee from the AUS.
He comes into this game averaging 6.2 yards a carry with 629 yards rushing. Picked up 9 there and got them out of the shadow of their own end zone there with a little wham blocks there, coming down and kicking out there in the interior side of that line. Get some very manageable 2nd and 1.
Injury update, Dan Shute looks to be fine, putting his helmet on, rejoining his team in the meeting, and not having as much of a limp. Legier on the run, and a massive humanity down there trying to sort through. See who made the tackle. I see Andrew Frazier, and looks to be Jake Thomason and John Wilson in on it. First down, but not by much.
A nice little ISO play there by St. Mary's. Isolated the guard there, worked up to 2nd level. Craig Legier, I think, got stopped there for just short of the first down, but because of the power in his lower body, was able to keep his feet moving and fought for those extra yards to give St. Mary's a first down there. I
still remember Legier's first game against Acadia when he really broke out with that 150-yard performance live on the score. Legier ran like a man possessed that game. 3-2 set right there. Legier in the backfield. And looks a swing play to Taylor. Taylor's running, gets a nice little gain there. And it looks to be Mike Ross dancing on the tackle. 8-yard gain. St. Mary's right now is managing to get into pretty good field position right now. They're battling with their run game there.
Great job by St. Mary's executing that fly sweep that we call it, where the receiver actually takes the handoff coming across the formation. What I liked about that play for St. Mary's is that they didn't show it too early. They didn't give a chance for Acadia to recognize it and make their adjustments they do on that fly sweep to come downhill and make a play behind the line of scrimmage. Great job by St. Mary's. Let's see how they attack with that play later in the game.
Play popularized by Gary Ross over the last few years. And that's a stop short there by Tom Labinski and Big John Wilson bending down the line of scrimmage. Nice tackle there. Good play, and it looks like St. Mary's will punt.
Right, we talked about it earlier with St. Mary's and their or Acadia and their zone play. We talked about how it could get a little. The reason why that St. Mary's isn't bending down the line because of the athletic quarterback that Kyle Graves is. Jack Creighton isn't that same kind of athlete, so it allows the defensive end on the backside of that zone play to be able to bend down and make a play on that running back because he is unblocked, and that's kind of the risk-reward trade-off that you make with that zone play. You get extra players on the front side of that block, but you're losing a backside player to take away that bend player. Let's look to see if Jack Creighton pulls on that next one and boots out on the Sally.
And we know he is an athletic player. We saw his one scramble today for a first down. And Acadia bringing pressure there again on the outside. Rostance catches the ball at the 50-yard line, running up the middle. Dalen and gets to about, looks to be the 53-yard line. Another big hit there from Acadia players standing around with 7-7, a minute 36 left in the first quarter. And do we see Dan Shute run out there on the field? Doesn't look like it yet. He looks like he's still on the sidelines, down there doing drills with the extra lineman, trying to show to his coach he's ready to go back in there. He knows how important this game is, and he knows how important home field advantage is over the course of the year. Kyle Graves now sets up 4-1. Zach Clark in the game, misses the block. Oh, it's a screen. Clark gets a ball and is stuffed there.
What a fantastic play there by number 44 on the defensive side, the weak side linebacker, Marvin Golding. He had the O-lineman coming downfield at him, went for the cut. He actually leaped over the blocker, made the play. One man beat two there, and eventually tackled the play. That's a CIS. That's an all-Canadian type play there, right there by the weak side linebacker.
You know that's on his all-Canadian tape there. That's a nice play. Acadia now, 2nd and 8 from the 50-yard line. Graves sets up. Zach Clark in, spelling out Zach Skiven, who's been running well today. Clark now on the setting up the block. It's there for Squires. Squires takes a shot and keeps going, but unfortunately falls backward. Stu Clow in there going with looks to be linebacker Norris, and Squires took a shot in the mouth there. Coach Cummins is yelling about a head hit there. That was a big shot to the mouth there. Referees today are letting them play. Not many flags unless it's an obvious call.
Right, we talked earlier about the scouts and the AUS being across this week. One of the scouts I was really impressed with Mike Squires was Ted Gavaya, former CIS coach, now director of scouting with and running backs coach of the Toronto Argos. Could not absolutely take his eyes off Mike Squires with his size, and he showed that not only does he look like Tarzan, he plays like Tarzan on the field with that catch and the ability to take a shot there, hold on to the ball, move the chains for the first down Acadia as we work towards the end of the first quarter here.
Pistol formation now for Acadia. Clark in the backfield. Clark gets a run. Edges free there. Clark running forward. And about a 7-yard gain there. No matter who Acadia's put in this year, they are gaining yards. They've had 3 separate rushers go over 100 yards this year. Clark, Skiven, and Henny.
Again, a nice little outside zone there run by Acadia. Again, St. Mary's side, they're not going to bend down the line to cut it off from the backside, allowing them to get positive yards on the front side of it.
And the tackle there looked to be made by Marvin Golding again. Acadia now lining up 2nd and 5 from about the 35-yard line.
Less than 10 seconds on the play clock. 0 seconds left on the quarter clock. The last play of the first quarter.
And this game's going fast with the running. Oh, and Clark picks it up, and it looks like that's a tough way to end the quarter. And as we reach quarter time, 7-7. Acadia 3rd down now from about the 38-yard line. Look for Acadia punt here. Now, so far this game has been evenly matched. Fast game so far because both teams are trying to show that they can run. Acadia having 2 great drives right now. They're on their 3rd drive, gaining positive yards, moving field position. 1 mistake by Kyle Graves, and as we all know, me and you from experience, you make a mistake within your side of the field, St. Mary's is going up top, and Creighton's got the arm.
He does have the arm, and that's been kind of the story so far this game when it comes to Acadia's offense. They've been moving the ball very, very well, both in the air and on the ground against St. Mary's defense. But untimely errors by them have cost them at this point. We saw Zach Skiven break off a 25-yard, but fumbling the ball on contact with by Neil King. And again, a very manageable 2nd and 4 situation. Kyle Graves and center Travis Miller botched the exchange snap on what could have been a first down, and now all of a sudden possibly bringing out the field goal team.
See what Acadia does here. You don't want to kick to Jameek Taylor. He can make plays here, especially when you got Jameek Taylor versus your starting O-line. That's a good matchup for St. Mary's.
Right, and I mean, one of the things we haven't had a chance to talk to about in this game so far is Acadia kicker Ryan Bajan. Rookie kid out of Ottawa, played very well at the beginning half of the season, but as of late has been struggling. Right now sitting at about 50% kicking percentage, but he went 0 for 3 last week in homecoming here against Mount Allison, and there isn't a lot of trust in him right now with the Acadia coaching staff. If they bring him out here, it's going to be about a 47-yarder from the left hash, which is actually where he's been struggling. And the last thing you want is a missed field goal with Jameek Taylor running against a bunch of old linemen trying to cover him downfield. I expect Acadia to bring out the punt team, which they do. Either way, kicking Jameek Taylor is a very dangerous thing. Acadia is probably the only team in this conference that won't kick it out of bounds to him.
Last year, Jameek Taylor scored a touchdown on him in week 4. Week 8, Coach Flaxman, special teams coach, said we're kicking to Jameek and proving a point. Jameek went for -4 yards. Remember that. Now, Graves with the kick. And another over-ender. Bounces out of bounds at about the 13-yard line for where St. Mary's will scrimmage the ball.
Another great kick by Kyle Graves there, showing off his leg as a punter. Leading the conference this year in punting with his 37.9 average. He has a 59-yarder that he blew away in the McGill game down the field. Outkicked everyone, including his coverage and the returner. Just a solid kick. You don't want to give the ball to Jameek. As well as Acadia has been able to handle him, Jameek is the most dynamic talent in this conference, and at any point can take a ball from anywhere on the field and take it in for a touchdown. We saw him. I've seen him on film take a little slant route 75 yards to the house against St. FX, and it's no different for him on return games as well.
I formation, Creighton under center. For run, play action, and there's a play, and Luke Falwell in on the tackle, broken tackle there. Oh, Falwell's first time back in action after the 2 weeks, and it looks to be a gain there.
Looks like Jameek Taylor there on the play out in the flats. They threw that low percentage football out there. Had him for about a 5-yard gain, but Luke Falwell misses tackles and forced his buddy to come in. That shows off the elusiveness that Jameek Taylor has as a player and dynamic receiver in this league.
Okay, and St. Mary's looks like to be going in a pass formation. Devin Jones, who's returning to action today, comes out, as well as 2 O-linemen, or 2 bigger fellows for the run game. St. Mary's now going with a 3-2 set. Legier in the backfield. Quick throw to Taylor again on Falwell. They're really going after that strong side.
Kevin Withrich there on the reception there for the first down and a 7-7 score game. They went all slants there with the receivers trying to get inside leverage, just like Acadia ran a few series ago. Ran all slants trying to get inside leverage, get in between him, get the receiver in between him and the defender, and let Jack Creighton sling the rock in there to the open receiver.
Graham Richardson, you see on the sideline, has to be itching to get in there. He's seeing how much Acadia's secondary is struggling right now on some of these throws, and you know he'd want to get in there. You know he'd make a difference. Again now, Creighton sets up a throw, flag on the field, going up top to over Brett Backman. Luke Falwell can't get over there, and that's a penalty on Brett Backman. Unfortunately, able to turn his head around. Luke Falwell is not able to get over the top today. He's coming back from an ankle injury, and that side of the field is struggling. Now let's see what the play is.
Ryan Tremblay on the field, getting in behind coverage again, drawing the pass interference call. We actually have 2 flags on the field. We'll see how it works out and how they offset each other. We have offside against St. Mary's and a defensive pass interference against Acadia. We'll see how those 2 sort each other out.
I think the penalty's on Tremblay because Tremblay looked upset.
We did see him get in behind the coverage there, and if he was offside, that could be a reason why. He had a couple extra steps downfield before the ball was thrown to him. Looks like the ball is being taken back.
Well, moves up. I guess they're splitting the difference. Interesting how they make that call. Well, the guy who was offside made the play that they had to force the pass interference on. Maybe had he not been offside, he wouldn't have been able to get over top.
Right, so it turns into a 10-yard penalty for St. Mary's, a new set of downs for them, and we'll see how this works out.
It's interesting. Offside, I don't get that play call at all there. Referee call there, how the yard go up, especially when the offside could have been a direct result in favor.
I see exactly what you're saying. I think it's just I think it's just something how the rules come together. They don't foresee that sort of thing coming into play when they write down these rules and how they offset each other.
No, it's a rare thing, but sometimes you can see Acadia's frustration there. And it's 13 minutes left in the second quarter. 7-7 is the score. St. Mary's now in a tight end formation, running up the middle, and there's a and there's a gain. Acadia standing around not watching. Oh, that's not going to look good in film. Legier took one there. Again, the referees aren't going to be fooled this week, Elliot?
Again, we saw that zone play there. John Wilson bent down along the line to make the play on the running back. Jack Creighton read the bend. Whenever you read a bending player on a zone play, you're supposed to pull the ball and find your open receiver, which he did. Jameek Taylor almost broke it there because the Acadia defenders thought the play was finished. There's a play similar last week against Mount Allison that we'll talk about a little bit later.
3-3 formation, empty set. St. Mary's is throwing the kitchen sink out here. Jameek comes under center. No play action on this one. Jameek's running, breaking tackles. Up now. Acadia's giving chase. Jameek now going to the 30, to the 20. Brett Backman gives chase. Jameek's going into the, and there's a fumble on the play. And we'll see how this one is ruled.
Outstanding hustle by Brett Backman, coming back, forcing the fumble. They're going to rule it out of bounds at the 2.
Brett Backman giving chase there. That Jameek Taylor just ran about 70 yards there to get to 50, and he ran out of steam there, starting to showboat as he entered the end zone, starting to thinking it was gone, and Acadia gives chase there.
We talked about the incredible athleticism of Jameek Taylor, and if you didn't believe us before, hopefully that's some evidence that that he can play some football, straight up play some football, and I think is legitimate talent at the next level. We'll see if he can put a complete game together to give himself a shot to play in the CFL in a couple of years.
Now Coach Cummins on the field trying to figure out what the ruling is. He doesn't look happy about this. Again, coming in, straight dive for Legier, and Legier falls into the end zone. Touchdown, St. Mary's, 13-7 with 11:49 left in the second quarter. Acadia now has to answer. Acadia's defense today is having trouble. Andrew Rowe takes off his helmet in frustration. Luckily, he does not get a penalty there.
Another great second effort by the fifth-year player, Craig Legier. Little lead play there. Looked like it was properly handled by the Acadia defense, but second effort by both Legier and the St. Mary's offensive line to get that extra push to put him into the end zone from the 2-yard line.
And Acadia's defense looked spaced on that drive there. On that one play to Taylor on the throwing play, they got caught with their pants down, not paying attention. And then on that long one, it looked like there were some guys not hustling on the backside. Obviously, Brett Backman did, but still, that's not something you normally see. Luke Falwell is obviously ailing, and Brett Backman is struggling in this passing attack right now, and we'll see if Acadia can make some adjustments. Because right now, this is the most exposed we've seen Acadia's defense this year. We'll see how it goes. Coach Cummins talking right now to his teammates as the return team comes on the field.
St. Mary's doing a tremendous job with that fly sweep that we were talking about, and that's when they use a receiver to come across the formation, get the ball and a handoff from the quarterback and work sideline to sideline, find a hole, and then work upfield. Acadia stifled it the first time. Looks like St. Mary's has come back with some great blocking adjustments. One thing I think they're doing this really well is they're not showing it early, which takes some of the recognition away from Acadia to be able to come up and make a play. Acadia's looking slow on it. St. Mary's receivers are executing their blocks. Jameek Taylor's finding space now.
Lautner with the kick. Sends one to about the 5-yard line. Clark takes it and he's running. There's blocking there. 2 missed blocks on the play. Acadia will scrimmage the ball from the 21-yard line. It looked to me there that Brigham White Gray there was just left unblocked there, the big D lineman. I don't know how you don't see him.
Not something you want to do. Part of the reason they had some success on that play is St. Mary's athleticism was able to get in behind the wedge of Acadia, get around the corner, make a play behind them, which normally leads up the return. They're able to get in behind them and make a play on the ball.
Well, let's see the adjustments Acadia will make on defense. St. Mary's now coming on the field, hoping to stop them. Dan Schutt's still not in the game.
Mike Squires is, though, and that's a big plus for Acadia's offense.
In the middle, there's and stuff that we see a penalty fall down on the marker. And there's some extracurriculars again there.
Right, we talked about the hate relationship that Acadia's offensive line, or sorry, that the fronts have right now for each other. This stems back to the end of the game last week, or a few weeks ago in Halifax. At the end of the game, St. Mary's was taking knees to finish off the game. The game is clearly over. St. Mary's comes out and blasts a few of the Acadia defensive linemen. One of them cuts another Acadia defensive lineman, and then so the last play of the game, Acadia decides to get in 4-point stance and blast out the St. Mary's offensive line, with linemen looking to support each other. On the flip side of it, you're going to see a lot of aggressiveness here now between both lines on both sides of the ball.
1st and 5 for Acadia now. Toss play to the outside. Skiven bounces off tackle, falling forward, and looks to have lost about a yard on the play. And Neil King there walking away with the lamp. Neil King and Zach Skiven are going to be good friends if they haven't played against each other back in Edmonton. They're both Northern Alberta boys.
They are both Northern Alberta boys, Edmonton born. Neil King down in the box, which is normally measured tackle to tackle. You normally don't have your safety down there, but they saw something in the Acadia offense where they could walk him down comfortably, and he's able to make a play there. Force Zach Skiven to cut up field to right towards Neil King's help on and the rest of his linebackers.
Right now, St. Mary's is making some fabulous adjustments, now taking control of the game's pace. They're now in. Graves makes a throw, throws over the middle, looks to be A.J. Durling on the play. Nope, that's Mike Squires there making another clutch catch there. These two are on the same page today. Great pitching catch there on the deep slant. Right now, 10 minutes and 30 seconds left, 14-7 for St. Mary's.
Great job of Mike Squires. Nice little slant route, taking advantage of man coverage, coming underneath, getting the ball. Well-timed ball by Kyle Graves, and Mike Squires with the smart thing of getting underneath the tackle that he knew was coming from Neil King.
So right now, Graves in the shotgun. Right now, pistol formation. Play action pass. Graves going up top. Stu close open. And that's the home run they were looking for. Acadia saw something. They were waiting for it. And you see Kyle Graves in there going, I got to take a little off that one. Showing his might there as he launched that one.
He launched that one. And what happened on that play is Acadia went the play action with their two running backs in the formation, normally run formation for them. That brought Neil King down closer to the box to just be ready for that run. And then the post, which opened up the post pattern for Stu Clow there on the outside, was able to get inside the corner, get behind the safety, but wasn't able to open up the stride big enough to be able to get underneath that Kyle Graves football. 2nd and 10 now.
Graves sets up the throw, throws it deep again, close open yet again, and that one he connects on, close running, close. And he's walked down on the 5-yard line. That's open over top. If Neil King wants to come down, Acadia's going up top. This is a great chess match today. Both coaches are adapting to each other very quickly.
Great chess match there, as you said. 2nd and 10. St. Mary's defenders know that Acadia's looking for that pass that's going to get them just the first down. Stu Clow ran a dropout go, so he ran right to the sticks, turned around like he was going to get the ball at the sticks, and then turned around again and went upfield. Kyle Graves gave him the pump pass and was able this time take a little bit off of it in order for Acadia's receiver to get underneath of it and walk it down to the 5-yard line with 9:41 left in the second quarter in a 14-7 game.
This is going to be a battle of might over here. Acadia subs in their jumbo package and St. Mary's counters with theirs. That's a lot of humanity out there. Let's see who wins this one. Graves under center. Play action, open in the back of the field, and Jake Thomas. And there's a late hit on the quarterback there. Number 75, it looks to Sean. No, that's definitely not the kicker. Looks to be trying to see, 70, O'Dane Finnegan with the big hit on Kyle Graves there. Late hit, we saw the flag there. We'll see how this one gets ruled.
Right, with all the big players on the field there.
No flag on the play.
St. Mary's definitely were playing the run heavy there. Acadia countered by running a play action there. Hit Jake Thomas in the flats, who was well covered, but if you looked at his next progression, you would have seen that John Wilson was open in the back of the end zone. Not the guy you want to be throwing to, but if he's wide open like that, you got to expect that he'll catch that ball.
And St. Mary's caught in a change right now. Right now, St. Mary's, let's see if they get the quick call right now. And Acadia misses a chance there. The referees. You see Ryan King on the sideline right now giving everyone an earful. Interesting why the referee blew the play dead there. Waiting for a referee ruling here. I have no idea why they would blow this play dead right there. Acadia gave ample opportunity for the subs to come back in.
Right. This is one of the advantages of being deep in the end zone next to your bench. There's less distance for you to run in. Harder for the opposing team to recognize the packages that are being substituted in.
Unfair advantage there now. And Skibbin runs up the middle, fighting forward, jumping forward, and this is a tough decision now for Acadia. Do you go for the field goal here? Tough kick, bad angle. Beijing's had trouble. Do you go for the touchdown here? Interesting referees making that call there. That I don't get that one at all. That's
as Beijing comes on the field, looks like they're going to see if he can make this angled shot. Not an easy shot for a right-footed kicker who's got to put it across his body. Won't get that step up.
We'll see what happens if that has any effect on it. Acadia there.
But in this point in the game, you can't, as either team, you can't afford to give up points like this. You got to take any point that's given to you, and as you never know how those points are going to come back to affect you later in the game.
Beijing sets up the kick, goes through his adjustments. Short kick there, tough angle. The rookie kicker strokes it through the uprights. Big kick for him, getting an early one in, and hopefully this will be the confidence he needs. Sigh of relief there on St. Mary's bench after that one. Referees giving away a free timeout on that play. We'll see how it comes of this one.
Right. From Acadia's perspective, that's a great position for the young kicker to get him back in the game. Get his confidence back up, as you never know when you're going to need him later in the game with this tight score that we have. It's now 14-10 14-10 St. Mary's with 8:29 in the second quarter. Points are going to be at a premium, especially with this field position battle, and you're never going to know when you're going to need your kicker late in the game to make a play.
Interesting to see St. Mary's not elect to return the ball there with such a playmaker like Taylor returning the kicks. I guess they figured they'll kick away from him, but just an interesting play. Dive play, Acadia stuffing up the run there. Big play there, looks to be Andrew Frazier and Jake Thomas in on it.
Right, great. I mean, St. Mary's had a lot of success off that fly sweep series they've been running where they bring Jameek Taylor into the box and run him across the formation with the ball. They figured that Acadia would be really focused on him on that last play, brought him into the box, faked it to him, and gave it to the running back. Acadia played very stout defensively, very stout technically, and were able to focus on and make the play on Legier for the tackle as they go 6 wide here, second and long.
As number 90 comes out, Acadia brings in an extra DB. Sails the throw there. Oh, and Breck Backman almost in on that, and that's a tough play there for Creighton to make. He looked like he was throwing from his heels there, showing his arm straight.
A lot of pressure coming in. Tom Lubinsky on the blitz there. Acadia was playing cut coverage. Brett Backman in the corner staying low, allowing the halfback to go over top and play deep. They had a little bit of a wheel route with Wuthrich 88, trying to get in behind that slant they had running from the number one receiver. Brett Backman settled his feet nicely, played the deeper route, came up and almost redeemed himself for the big plays he's been giving up earlier in the game.
Now Lautner sets up to kick. Rostance at the 35-yard line, waits. St. Mary's right now calling out who they're blocking. High snap. Oh, almost a block there on the play. And last year, if you remember, Cam Wade victimized St. Mary's of punters. He had a couple of big blocks against them. Last year they had trouble with their snapping. Ryan King was trying to get his snapping more comfortable, and as the season went on, he didn't get it.
But now look, they didn't get the block. Cam Wade didn't get there, and he didn't get any contact with the ball. But look what he did. He forced a 20-yard punt now for Acadia. So that's almost as good as a block. Acadia's going to scrimmage now from their center line, opens up their playbook, allows them to be more aggressive, and we'll see how they respond with that. But pressure forces a kicker to adjust his pattern where he kicks the ball, and he shanked it out of bounds there.
Graves under center. Counter look to Skibbins. Skibbins running with purpose right now, and that's a holding call it looks to be. Oh, and that's a tough one. Travis Miller lays on the ground looking like he got taken down there. Big run by Skibbins.
It's in the area of holding. We'll see if it comes back after yards gained and how it affects the lineup of this next play. But with 7 minutes left in the second quarter.
Oh.
It's actually on St. Mary's. So this one should be unnecessary roughness. Looks like it will be tacked on after the play. Turns what it was a 12-yard gain by Zach Skibbin on the beautiful run counter play. into a 27-yard play with the unnecessary roughness.
I think it was on an interior tackle there on Travis Miller, because Travis Miller looked like he was getting up and giving that look to the ref, are we gonna call something here? And the referee obviously saw what Travis Miller was griping about on that play.
Right, we talked there's going to be a battle in the trenches today between the offensive and defensive lines. That flag might slow down the St. Mary's defensive line from being overly aggressive now.
Look for Acadia to go up top right now to playmaker Taylor Renault, who is over the last 2 weeks has been hitting home runs lately. Samara right now is not happy with that call at all. You see him getting in the referee's ear. There's Skibbin running up the middle, running hard for looks to be about a 3 or 4 yard gain there. Not bad in tight confines.
No, Neil King getting down in the box. Like we were talking about before, you don't normally account for a safety in your blocking scheme. St. Mary's knows they have a couple different looks on defense where they may bring the weak side halfback high, bring Neil King into the box, and now you have 8 men on defense against 7 men on offense. It gives you a numerical advantage, gives you a better spot to make a play on the football.
Right now with 14-10 for St. Mary's, 6:15 left in the second quarter. Acadia scrimmaging the ball from what looks to be the 25-yard line. Graves under center. Fakes a pass. Easy sailing right now. Taylor Renault coming downhill, and Graves falling forward for yards, putting his head down and getting that first down. Taylor Renault was looking for a big hit there, and the SMU defender did not want any part of that. That's receivers looking out for their quarterback.
Hey, you got to look out for him because later in the game you're going to want to catch that game-winning touchdown pass from your quarterback. You talked about Kyle Graves not sliding. We talked about this before, but this game's for first place in the AUS and the chance to host a championship after a bye. There's going to be no QB sliding in this game. You're going to take every yard you can get because you want that extra bye week to try and get some rest.
He can rest at the bye week if he wants. So this is a great play by Graves as Acadia lines up in the pistol. Leaves early, gives a sprint look. Graves throws over there. Touchdown to Mike Squires. 16-14 right now. St. Mary's, that play seemed to be set up there. Great pressure by Cam Wade on the edge. Sets up a bad punt. Stupid penalty by St. Mary's there on the unnecessary roughness in the trenches. If you're going to get a call in the trenches, Elliot, if you're going to get a call in the trenches there, it has to be something pretty bad.
Yeah, again, Mike Squires ran a very similar route to that previous route that went for a touchdown for Acadia, just coming across the formation. Front seven of St. Mary's got bought a bit on the play action, forcing the safety to come down, opened up the space for the front waller, and touchdown.
Bejan with the kick. 17-14, 5 minutes, 37 seconds left. The chess match continues right now. Let's see how Coach Samara adjusts.
Even more important than Coach Samara, you're going to see Devin Murphy, their defensive coordinator, and actually a disciple of Dan Laramie and his defense from Acadia University. Dan Laramie was over there at St. Mary's University, brought in a lot of match concepts, which we'll talk about in a bit, maybe break down at halftime. But he bringing in those concepts that were created by Rich Stubler, great defensive mind in the CFL. He brings them over to St. Mary's. Now there are some holes in them, and Acadia's done a tremendous job at exploiting some of those holes in both man and match coverage today.
Well, right now Coach A.J. Tufford, the wide receiver coach, former SMU alumni, is very happy seeing his receivers making big catches in tight quarters, seeing his receivers coming down, making blocks, taking shots, and playing a great game right now. Bejan sets up to kick the ball now. Jimmy Taylor back to return, as well as Ryan Tremblay, who's shown his speed today, making some big catches.
Right, and it looks like they'll kick to Tremblay, who's lined up there in the boundary side of the field. Normally where you want to kick as a coverage unit into less space and force them to make something out of nothing.
Bejan puts it to about the 5-yard line. Tremblay catches on the run, going downhill. Tremblay met by what looks to be number 40, Braden Guy coming downhill.
Right. What allowed Braden to make the play there was some tremendous play by the Acadia kickoff coverage on the wedge. Normally, a kickoff return team will set up that wedge in order to create vertical lines for the vertical creases for that returner to hit. But Acadia was able to meet them with their big guys, force the Tremblay to cut outside, and allowed Braden Guy to make the tackle. Tremendous fundamental coverage by Acadia.
And Cornish there joking around with Coach Cummins as he runs off the field, both of them sharing a laugh. Now, St. Mary's lining up. Looks to be the 32-yard line. Creighton under center. And Cam Wade coming under. Creighton throwing under rest to Taylor. And I don't know if that was a screen. There was a lot of people downfield on that play. I don't know if that was supposed to be a screen or not, but Acadia busted it up by calling that weak half go.
Right, great. Great blitz there by Cam Wade off the edge. The center for St. Mary's, Matt Albright, recognized it late. He was on the backside of that protection. Anytime you're a backside blocker on a two-man surface, only two defensive players, you're responsible for popping out and taking any kind of blitz that comes to you. So he recognized it very, very well, popped out, got a piece of Cam Wade, which allowed Jack Creighton to step up in the pocket and complete a pass for at least 1 yard to Jameek Taylor to make it 2nd and 9 here with 4:34 left.
Acadia in his dime package. Creighton looks to throw under duress again. Breaks some tackles coming. And tackled down by Ed McNally, who gives a cheer.
Ed McNally, probably the most energetic player on this defense. Played very well responsibly on the back end there. Had his pass coverage. Once Jack Creighton broke the pocket, he stepped up, took away his throwing lane, and made a tackle on the ball with some great backside pursuit by defensive end John Wilson.
You see on the backside there, Andrew Rowe and Tremblay going at it a bit there. These two teams know the importance, and they're leaving it all on the line.
Right. Andrew Rowe, another feisty player that's going to mix it up a little. Acadia ran that match coverage we talked about. We'll break it down at halftime, but kind of using Smew's medicine against them. We'll talk a little bit about that why.
Right now, Lautner sets up to kick the ball, drifts a little.
Great high punt.
Rostan catches it. Brett Backman with a big block there. Cornish is unable to do anything. Backman flat backing DB Cornish there on the ground. Great block by Backman. Acadia again scrimmaging the ball from about the 50-yard line.
More very good coverage by St. Mary's there on the punt. Beautiful punt by their punter. Are able to get downfield, throw out the net as we call it, get players around it, and then as soon as he makes the catch, you kind of cinch the net and draw everyone in and give him zero space to work with to keep him for an under 10-yard gain.
Right now with St. Mary's punter drifting a bit, don't be surprised to see special teams coordinator Pete Frazier send some heat a bit, because right now you see the snap floating a bit.
3:45 left.
Right now, Skibbin fighting forward, getting a 3-yard gain. 3:40 left in the second quarter. 17-14, Acadia Axemen scrimmaging the ball from about the 54-yard line. Right now, Acadia second down.
17-14 for Acadia, trying to put some points on here before the half closes. But I have to give some credit to Devin Murphy, defense coordinator for St. Mary's. We talked a little bit earlier about for the first about 10 snaps that Zach Skibbin got, only one of them went for under 10 yards. Now he has about 3 consecutive plays of under 5 yards running the ball. It's a testament to the defensive coordinator putting the people in the right position, coaching mistakes, and SMU players by executing the coverages.
High formation right now. 30 pro. Graves under duress, gives chase. Graves looks like he's got some room. Neil King coming downhill. Big block upfield by Stu Clow and AJ Durling. Oh, that's some downfield blocking there for Acadia. Coach AJ Tufford right now is in heaven.
It looked like Acadia was going to go pump and go to Taylor Renaud on the backside there, trying to take advantage of the aggressiveness by RJ Cornish. Cornish played very well responsibly in his man coverage. Didn't bite on the stop. Forced Kyle Graves to pull the ball and had to make something out of nothing there.
And Acadia now at the 3-minute warning at the scrimmage of the ball from SMU's 50-yard line. 17-14 in the second quarter. 2 minutes, 53 seconds left. Acadia right now from the pistol. Anderson leaves early. Again, the counter look. Skibbin cuts it up the field. And that's the difference between Zach Skibbin this year and Zach Skibbin last year. He would have looked to bounce that. He saw there was space in the middle, puts his head down, gains 5 yards on the play.
Zach Skibbin is believing what he's seen. And what I mean that he sees a hole, he trusts that his offensive line are going to block it. And so now he can just go ahead with probably what is the best speed on this Acadia team, lower his shoulder and get positive yards. Again, Neil King, free safety in on the tackle again, as St. Mary's starts to breathe a bit heavier here late in the quarter.
Right now, you know that they want to get off the field. 2nd and 5, 2 minutes, 30 seconds left. Acadia from the pistol formation, leaves early. Graves throwing over the middle. Mike Squires catching it, looking to get the first down. Oh, looks short. You got to find the first downs markers there. That's surprising from the veteran receiver to not find those sticks. Now from Acadia, Graves wants to go for it. We'll see what they do here.
It's third. It's long but manageable third down, about 3rd and 3 right now. Acadia tried to clear out the St. Mary's defensive players trying to create some space for Mike Squires sit in the middle of their defense. St. Mary's did a great job to rally, led by their linebackers, and brought them down for a short gain, putting them in a 3rd and 4 now.
Let's see how this goes. Acadia eating the clock as much as it can.
They really want to put up some point here with less than 2 minutes left in the half. They want to go up with a bigger lead.
They call a timeout now to take it to 2 minutes. Now they'll talk it over. It will be interesting to see what Acadia does here. What if Coach Tom Flaxman and Coach Chris Judd have any tricks up their sleeve?
Right. Acadia's had some success so far on the slant game with their slant routes. A lot of slants from the receivers where they're able to get inside the St. Mary's defenders into an open area. We'll see if they come back to it. Running game is working well, so if you're able to spread out the St. Mary's defense, could create some seams for Zach Skibbon to bust off, a 3-yard gain, which is all he needs right now for the first down. Good coaching decision, though, by Acadia to run the clock down and then take their timeout, which they can't carry over to the next half. Great job on that perspective, because if they aren't able to get the first down this play, they don't want to leave St. Mary's with a lot of time to be able to march back down the field on them.
It'd be interesting to see now what Acadia does in this situation as the water personnel come off the field.
Acadia could go to that inside run, but they won't because they're bringing on the punt team.
Probably trying to see what St. Mary's is going to do. They didn't like the matchup. You punt the ball, live another day, try and pin them deep, and force St. Mary's to try and nickel and dime you down the field, and that's not something Coach Samara likes to do.
No, he doesn't. He likes big plays, but he doesn't trust Pete Frazier, the special teams coordinator here. Steve Samara is leaving his defense on the field, only bringing Jameek Taylor in to return because they're going to play. Don't expect a big rush here because they're going to play the fake right now.
You remember us saying last week how Acadia is just going to throw some fakes last week to try and make St. Mary's sweat? But you see it there. Nice punt by Kyle Graves.
Not his best kick. It went out a little bit early. Might not get outside the 20 or get inside the 20, it looks like.
They're marking it at the 20
Still
now.
about a 90-yard field that St. Mary's needs to work with to get his touchdown. About 60 yards they're going to need on these last 2 minutes in order to tie the game up at 17-14 Acadia currently. But like I said, we didn't expect to see a lot of pressure there. St. Mary's was just playing the fake. They rushed, ate up their responsibilities, and didn't have to block anyone because of the kick out of bounds.
Right now, St. Mary's has the ball at the 20-yard line. A minute 56 left. 17-14 Acadia. Let's see what Creighton has up here. Bad snap. Legier running. Fake pass. Acadia biting on it, and looks to be about a 15-yard gain as the clock stops, so they can reset the sticks. A minute 48 left. Kevin Worthrich on the catch. Looks to be Mike Rostance in on the tackle there.
Kevin, we'll talk a little bit about Kevin later. Kevin actually played with me my first 2 years in Edmonton. He was on the practice roster there as an eligible junior player, where he didn't count against his eligibility because he just practiced. But he brings a wealth of actually pro experience to this St. Mary's receiving corps, and he's a pretty dynamic player that can get open and make some moves in space.
St. Mary's now in their empty set. They have Acadia looking to like they have a matchup. Jake Thomas running out at the edge. They're coming downhill. Acadia making the matchup in the backfield. Nice tackle there. Looks like Ed McNally in on the tackle to number 3, Ryan Trombley.
Trombley again. St. Mary's knows this kid can flat out fly, that he can run downfield. They try to take advantage of some of that athletic ability by giving the ball in space. Try to get some blockers downfield for him. But what was done so well there was Cam Wade there on the tackle. May not have made it, but he forced the player to cut back, negated Trombley's speed, and forced him back to weak side linebacker Ed McNally.
Acadia now in its dime formation, 4-1 set. 3-2 now. Motion back to 4-1. Creighton sets up in the pocket, and he takes a big hit, and that's a first down. Moving the sticks. Creighton hanging in the pocket, taking a hit from Big Jake Thomas as he lets the old lineman, number 58, Riley Brown, know that he got there.
Right. They went out there with a lot of They went out with 3 vertical routes to the field there. One of them came back to the weak side, which was picked up by Alex Graham. But that final outside route, the number 1 receiver, St. Mary's, pushed vertical, made Brett Backman respect his speed and then dropped out to the sideline and caught the ball for nearly a first down. It's going to be about second inches now with a minute left in a 17-14 game for Acadia right now.
They're going to go for a measurement here. Interesting to see 2 plays ago. Acadia put Anaka in in their 3-tech spot, then moved Jake Thomas out to end, and as Anaka comes in for Alex Graham. Interesting to see Acadia. They obviously like a matchup with Jake Thomas on the edge, and as we saw the next play, Jake Thomas playing on the edge in the 3-man front, getting home there, making a big hit on Jack Creighton.
Right, we saw that. Acadia, knowing that St. Mary's has to pass, brought in Alex Graham, a player that has been able to start for them with Luke Falwell being injured the past few weeks. Brought in some extra athleticism on the field and able to cover up pretty well most of the field, but wasn't able to cover that dropout by number 1 to the field.
Be interesting to see what the spot is. Short by about a hair.
Yeah.
The second and short. Be interesting to see if St. Mary's goes to run the ball here or if they try and pass it, knowing that they.
There's actually third down.
Oh, third down. Let's see if Acadia. What they're going to do on this play.
So St. Mary's definitely going to run the ball here. Acadia has been pretty strong on 3rd and 1 situations. Hopefully they can stay on side though.
Plays blown in. Mike Rostins joins in.
He's going to go over the top.
They go over the top, and Creighton fumbled the ball. Interesting to see what the ruling on the play is. No one's saying anything yet.
Looks like one of the linesmen, 31, has a spot that looks to be ahead of the first down marker, and it is.
It is, and same Acadia there. If that was a step back, that would have been a stop there. Acadia tough and tight. Andrew Frazier, Jake Thomas making plays inside there. Now St. Mary's having to move the ball fast.
No huddle.
55 seconds left in the quarter.
No huddle look, less than a minute left.
Creighton with the throwing to the out route. Brett Backman coming downhill. Big hit there. Clock continues to roll.
Again, gets it out to Wuthridge there on the little out route. Good clear out there by 27 Blackman, one of the receivers, the number 1 receiver we've been talking about for St. Mary's. Did a great job running vertical and creating some space for Kevin Wuthridge underneath to get an 8-yard gain. Looks like St. Mary's now is just looking to press to try and get at least in field goal range. We'll see if they can get it far enough to get a touchdown.
And now clock's blown in. 46 seconds left. Dive play to Legier. Ed McNally coming over top. Legier looking, stop short. Clock continues to run. 38 seconds left. 17-14 in the second quarter. Looks to be like an injury down there for St. Mary's.
Great little outside run by St. Mary's. Another zone play that we've been talking about. There was no bend by the backside end, which forced Jack Creighton to give the ball. Very good flow by Ed McNally, the weak side linebacker. Was able to make the play over the top, forced him to bounce it a bit, and Chris Call from his corner position came up and made the play. Chris Call starting in his second game. His mother actually in the crowd today. First game that she's seen him play live at the CIS level.
Flew in from Sudbury, Ontario. Chris Call also was a starting point guard for Laurentian University Voyageurs 3 years ago. Decided to make the switch to football. Came out to play at Acadia, and they're loving his work right now, being a great depth player and now moving up to starting.
So with less than 40 seconds left,
Brett Lautner coming out to punt the ball. Don't be surprised to see St. Mary's run a fake here. They did something like this in week 4 against Acadia last year, running a fake to the upbacks. They like to keep their running backs in at upback. So
right, you're in the middle of the field, less than a minute left. It's only about 3rd and 1.5. This is a prime area for a fake. I wouldn't expect to see Acadia rush the ball. They need to play fake first and make sure that the ball is kicked so they can finish this half with the football.
Acadia has their defense on the field here. Looks like they slubbed out Andrew Frazier, and aside that, a nice kick there by Lautner, chasing Rostance back to about the 3-yard line. Rostance just fighting forward, getting up to about the 5-yard line. 20 seconds left. Don't be surprised to see Acadia try and eat the clock here, barring how many timeouts.
Right. A lot of similarities in coaching philosophies here between Steve Samara and Jeff Cummins when it comes to punting and special teams. You saw both 3rd and short situations, punting the ball, where neither punt return team sent any rush. A couple players on the Acadia defensive line or defensive rush were pretty much just standing there at the line of scrimmage looking for a fake, see where the ball was going, because both coaches last thing they want to do is give up a fake at this point in the game.
20 seconds left, 17-14 Acadia. Acadia scrimmaging the ball from the 5-yard line under the shadows of their uprights. Ball there Zach Clark. Clark gets about a 1 yard gain. Clock will continue to run. 15.8 seconds left. Tackle made by middle linebacker Kyle Norris out of Stittsville, Ontario. Third-year linebacker. Had a
Great
year
little play
last
there.
year.
We ran. It was just again another zone play by Acadia. Zach Clark didn't see what he liked on the front side there. Decided to cut it backside. Kyle Norris played very, very patiently and then scraped over the top of the play to make a tackle just outside the left tackle, Sean Feasby.
Now it looks like St. Mary's called a timeout here. Kyle Graves goes to talk to AJ Tufford and Coach Tom Flaxman, as well as Andrew Healy in on it. And it looks like Eli Prock now, the second-year quarterback down there, trying to get a little experience, trying to learn some of what it's like to play in such a tense moment.
Right, a 17-14 game here. Great utilization by Steve Samara calling a timeout, knowing that Acadia could, in fact, run out the clock and finish halftime with 17-14 lead for Acadia. He wants to force Acadia to play football. He wants to force them to use all their plays, play all three downs, and if they can stop them again here, Acadia will be forced to punt back to St. Mary's with not very much time left in this second half.
And now Acadia keeping in the more sure-handed Zach Clark and at tailback, even though Zach Skibbin has been running the ball well, and they have Brett Henney down there on the sideline, a little banged up, but he's also available today in this game. Acadia now in their bunch formation, 2nd and 10 from looks to be about the 5-yard line. Clark with the run, running forward, hanging on to it. Be interesting to see St. Mary's. You could probably hear screaming timeout, timeout, timeout. 11.3 seconds left. Acadia is forced to punt. 3rd and what looks to be 7.
Right, so
about the
punting
9-yard
situation
line.
here. St. Mary's again, like we predicted, we use that second timeout. 11 seconds left on the clock. Such a tight game. You probably won't see Acadia take the safety because it's not about field position right now. It's about points. You can't be giving out points at this point in the game. They look for them to kick the ball well. There could be some pressure by St. Mary's to force a bad kick. Look for Jameek Taylor to try and bust off a gain, at least get them within field goal range. So they may get one play left to get themselves in position to kick a last-second field goal to tie this game up at 17 going into the half.
Kyle Graves gonna be able to let loose on this kick, you think?
He will. They're gonna tell him kick it as far as you can. Make sure you get it as close to the sidelines as you can. Ideally, whenever you punt, you're trying to punt to the boundary numbers, just to try and limit the amount of space.
Graves sets up in the end zone. Call up the play.
A lot of pressure, as predicted.
Graves
Not a great punt.
Kicks it and
out of bounds.
Yeah, we'll see St. Mary's. We'll see what St. Mary's does here. If they try and go for one deep play, they probably have. If they get it off quick enough, they might have time for 2 plays. You think?
They have at least one. It's got to be a quick 2 if they're gonna be able to get it. That first one's gonna have to be a throw out of bounds because if you run the ball, that clock will get down to 0 seconds, and at that point you'll need to attempt a long field goal. Don't be surprised if.
Coach Cummins telling Mike Rostens, no, they're not kicking the field goal right now. You're free safety.
I think what they possibly could have been anticipating was St. Mary's trying to punt it back into the end zone and try and get that single point to bring it a little bit closer. What you could see here is look at that wide side of the field right now. 27 Blackman up against Brett Backman. Could be a long play here.
John Wilson throwing his guy. Up top, Chris Call being tested for the first time. Great coverage there as the clock runs out. The time expires. 17-14 at the half. St. Mary's trails Acadia.
We looked for the big play. We thought maybe they'd go after Brett Backman, but they wanted to go after their best receiver who they have today, Ryan Trombley there, who lined up at the short side of the field. It's one-on-one coverage against Chris Call. Well, Chris did a tremendous job there, was jamming up the receiver. Completely legal in the Canadian football game. As long as the ball isn't in the air and you are square to that receiver, you're allowed to jam him anywhere downfield. This isn't like the NFL where you can only have a 5-yard box to jam. Chris Call kept his feet in front of him, slid, rode him to the sideline, got his hands on him, disrupted the timing on the route, which caused the overthrow. Tremendous job by Chris Call, and one of the few tests he's had early in his CIS career.
It looks like we got a squirrel coming on the field, similar to the St. Louis Cardinals and Philadelphia Phillies series down there. You got some vermin running around.
Yes, you do. We'll see if you can go catch it, Kevin.
So
we have, and it is on the benches, and It is by the training table, and now it looks like a baby squirrel, actually.
Right now, as Acadia, Dance Acadia comes out to
We'll let Dance
jump ground.
Acadia entertain you for your halftime entertainment. We'll come back and recap the first half as it was and what we need to see going forward for either team to make sure they get this win.
The Valley Minor Football Association is proudly represented in 4 age divisions in Nova Scotia. All minor football divisions in Nova Scotia are based upon age of play. This year is the first year of the Knights division, which services boys and girls who are in grades 1 to 3. Will you please welcome the Valley Bulldog Knights team and head coach Paul Arsenault.
McNally. See that? 300 yards total offense right now.
We got 138 rushing, 166 passing. Creighton's got 1 for 21 with a long 50.
Ed McNally with a forced fumble.
Does he?
Yeah, King with only 4.5 though.
Yeah, but it's still the league. Aaron Crawford is their Mac Packer.
So's Kyle Norris. I think he's a And we're welcome back to Wolfville, Nova Scotia, as the Acadia Axemen lead the St. Mary's Huskies 17-14 at halftime. This is our halftime show right now. We're going to recap the first half and how it's going right now. Right now, the Acadia Axemen are putting on a pounding right now on the offensive side of the ball, but St. Mary's is keeping up, but not being able to put up the same amount of yards. Elliot?
Right. I mean, we came into this game talking about how this is going to be a game of defenses and that each defense needs to play really well. Well, they are playing well at times, but it's more the offensive performance that we're really seeing as the story of this game so far. Acadia right now has 302 yards of total offense, 136 yards rushing, led by 88 by Zach Skibbin, a lot of which were in the first quarter. That Kyle Graves is putting on a great clinic today. He's about 8 for 12 for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns passing today, both to Mike Squires, who's having a tremendous day with 5 catches for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he had that 49-yard romp early in that game that opened up the scoring here at Acadia. On the other side of the ball, we've got St. Mary's also performing well. They have 198, pretty much 200 yards total offense, only 77 yards rushing. Acadia doing a pretty good job against the run. But they are averaging 5.5 yards a carry, which is pretty good against this Acadia stingy defense. A lot of credit to St. Mary's blocking, especially the receivers, because if you remembered, if you tuned in, Jameek Taylor had that long 50-yard run that brought them down into the inside the 5, which led to St. Mary's first touchdown. Second touchdown, gave them the lead at that point. A lot of those yards coming off that first big play. Otherwise, Acadia's playing pretty well against the running game when it comes to just their rushers. Craig Legier is only 7 for 16 right now. Jameek Taylor's the big rusher of the day, and Jack Creighton's thrown in a couple carries himself off bootlegs for 10 yards himself. But overall, it's been a game of big plays. Wouldn't you say, Kevin?
Oh, so far Acadia right now has been trying to stop right now Ryan Trombley on the deep play. Ryan Trombley is getting over top. The matchup against Brett Backman seems to be really working in St. Mary's favor. But when Acadia got their matchup with Chris Cull on top of him, Chris Cull is managing to play really well on the boundary corner, maybe being able to move over once Graham Richardson comes back to play to retain his role at boundary, or maybe you keep Chris Cull at boundary, move Graham out to the field. So then you force teams to start throwing to Graham. And as you know, last year, Graham Richardson, 6 interceptions, finished first in the country. Don't know how he didn't get All-Canadian, but he managed to have a great year last year when he's thrown to. This year he's getting the treatment where he doesn't get the thrown to as much, but he's still managing to put up a pretty solid year.
Right, a big year last year by my little bro. And it's turned over to this year to the point where teams just weren't throwing at him when he was healthy. But as we talked about earlier, Brett Backman has the Acadia DB core as a whole has given up some big plays this year. They've allowed some deep balls, which is why you saw this game plan by St. Mary's being executed pretty well. They've identified Brett Backman as the weakness in this DB core, and they decided to try and exploit them. They put their fastest receiver, Ryan Tremblay, over the wide side of the field, the number 1 receiver spot, and they said, hey, try and cover us in with a lot of space. They ran him deep down the field. They've thrown at him about 4 times to that field side, completed 1 for a big play that resulted in a touchdown. The other 2 times were near misses. He's drawn a pass interference call over there on that side of the field, and late in the half we saw him move over to the boundary side of the field where it's a shorter throw for him and they challenged Chris Cull on the deep play at the end of the half to try and even up or to take the lead going into the half.
Right now, St. Mary's is trying to run the ball a bit. When they had their most success, they were changing up their formations a lot. They went they were going double tight end, bringing in lots of O-linemen, bringing in heavier guys to run the ball. They were going empty. They were switching up formations, putting Acadia on their toes. Acadia now adjusting to that with quick moves on the sidelines. Now St. Mary's is down 17-14. We'll see how their adjustments is at the halftime. Acadia traditionally slow starters out the gate. St. Mary's out the gate. They love to run counter, as you remember.
And they're also very good as a coaching staff in terms of implementing changes they see that they can exploit in an opposing defense. What I'm going to put out as my kind of keys for the second half for St. Mary's offense. What they're going to do is they need to get the ball to Ryan Tremblay deep more. They need to make Brett Backman a bit nervous about the potential big play that could happen. Look for them to target Brett Backman and go deep. Another thing is look for Kevin Wuthrich underneath. Right now, he's their leading receiver in terms of catches. He's got 3 right now for 39 yards. He's been the guy they've been targeting as sort of an intermediate in-between player, getting the first downs, moving the chains. Look for him to be involved in the offense. They absolutely need Craig Legier to come through and be able to move the chains a little bit running the ball. He hasn't been able to. Low yards per carry this first half. And then Jameek Taylor. Jameek Taylor's going to be someone that's going to have to break off some more big plays to put St. Mary's back into the running for this. From the defensive side of the ball for Acadia, you're going to need them to stop the big play, whether it's manipulate your coverages to roll someone to help out Brett Backman. Look for them to play a bit more field cut, which allows Brett Backman to play low and put the halfback Luke Falwell in a deeper position. Look for them to come up for an answer for that sweep play from Jameek Taylor, whether it's blitzing, having an automatic blitz when he moves into the box to give that look of a fly sweep play. And offensively, look for Acadia to keep on doing what they're doing. Their offense is playing well. They're getting chunks of yards running the ball. They're getting first downs in their passing game. They're getting big plays for their passing game.
Right now,
they're taking advantage of the match coverage that St. Mary's is running.
Right now, Acadia going through the steps, warming up, coming out a little earlier to try and negate that. They've been sluggish out of the gate after going into the second half.
Right, this is something a little different Acadia has not done in the past. They would traditionally just come out and they do a little bit of jogging on the sideline, but today is different. Today's playing for first place. They've gone through another dynamic warm-up, which helps warm up the muscles, gets them stretched, reinvigorates the nervous system, increases that force production that's required for playing football. And whereas St. Mary's is kind of jogging around and standing around the sideline. We'll see if this is the thing for Acadia has attributed to their inability to come out strong in the second half, and how St. Mary's responds going out.
Both teams right now seem to be adjusting well to each other. One team does something while the other team counters. We've seen that, Acadia making counterattacks when Neil King started playing more as a box defender because Skibbon was running so successfully. They moved him up into the box. Acadia started hitting those deep routes to Stu Clough. They went back to back to Stu. First one they missed, second one they hit. We'll see if Acadia continues to do that or if Neil King will have to continue to be a box defender.
Right. One thing St. Mary's does with Neil King is they bring him down to the box, and it's something that they do with the coverage they run. They run a match defense a lot of the time when they're not running man coverage. It's about the only two they run. Now, the match coverage, for those that haven't tuned into our previous broadcast, is it's not really a man coverage. It's not really a zone coverage. It's more of a route recognition coverage where you will put more defensive players to that number of receivers. So if Acadia has 3 receivers to one side, St. Mary's will assign 4 players to that side. If Acadia has two receivers to that side, they'll put three defensive players that side to try and counter it. So instead of being responsible for deep or being responsible for short, you'll be responsible for certain routes. And with traditionally in a match coverage, that free safety will be what they call a high waller, or he'll be responsible for the first vertical route or route up the field that a receiver will run. And then you'll have an inside waller that's responsible for inside routes, and outside wallers are responsible for outside routes. Now, what St. Mary's does differently is they'll actually, to be better against the run, is they bring their free safety in the box and they make him a inside waller. Well, with the aggressiveness of Neil King, we've seen it exposed, is on those 2 touchdown passes, Acadia has run play action, which draws his attention in. Neil King can now not recognize the route that's coming to him, and he's a little slow getting to that inside release. So they'll run someone at him, and then he'll get a little bit vertical, which we saw that first touchdown by Mike Squires in the first quarter. We'll see if they've maybe made some adjustments to make Neil King a high waller in that match coverage, or if Acadia's going to keep on exploiting that defensive technique.
Right now, you see the Axemen set up, which looks to be kicking the ball this half as they start. St. Mary's returns. We'll see if Jameek Taylor, their dynamic returner, is there on the boundary side this time.
Right now, they have Tremblay and Jameek in the middle of the field, so it looks like they don't want to show who's going to the boundary. It looks like Jameek may sneak over there just as the kicker's approaching the ball. They want to get their ball to that playmaker. We said in second at halftime, Jameek Taylor needs to make some more big plays in order to get St. Mary's back on track.
Well, their big touchdown that one of their big gains rushing was Jameek going from sideline to sideline, running, being dynamic, showing his speed, showing his athleticism, and his newfound strength. He's very hard to take down when he's running the ball, throwing people to the ground.
He is. That's a product of just being older and being more mature as a football player. Jameek now a few years into the strength and conditioning program at St. Mary's, which has produced a lot of serious results, a lot of big players on St. Mary's that have gained from that. He's now a bigger player than when he came in. He's not just explosive. He can drag you a few yards and he can fall forward for first downs.
Jameek now setting up on the boundary side. They want to get him the ball. Beijing sets up to kick the ball as the second half gets underway. And Taylor goes from the return from the 3-yard line, and he's running. There's a bit of a lane downhill, hitting the hole, and taken down at the 25-yard line by what looks to be Ottawa product Drew Morris.
Drew Morris, that we talked about in previous broadcasts, highly touted recruit out of Ottawa, will take over that middle linebacker spot from when Tom Lubinsky graduates this year.
Now St. Mary's scrimmaging the ball from what looks to be the 25-yard line.
As we start this third quarter, 17-14 Acadia, and what does this game mean, Kevin?
Right now we got to see who gets the home field advantage. This is no team since the bye was implemented. No team who has the bye has lost, and that means a lot. Playing St. Mary's in St. Mary's is a different animal. Creighton under center, throwing, under route. Ed McNally coming downhill on the tackle for about a 13-yard gain. Catch made by number 87 Fitzgerald. Nice catch there on the play.
Right, looked like Acadia dropped into their zone coverage there. A lot of time in zone coverage, you'll give away a route. In most cases, underneath routes and routes to the far side of the field. Acadia gave under that forcing them to check down, take minimal yards, and came up and rallied. Good job by Creighton recognizing the rest of the receivers were covered and checking down to his open receiver.
Creighton now setting up. Lagier in the backfield, 3-2 set. Fly route underneath. Jameek on the sweep, getting the ball, and Acadia looks to be smothering it, and tackled in the backfield. Looks like Luke Falwell coming up on the run, and that's something they've missed with Luke Falwell being out.
Right, Luke Falwell, very physical defensive halfback in his 5th year here at Acadia. Good recognition by the Acadia defense. Coming up, not running so much vertically this time, which got them into trouble, gave away the outside. They came down on an angle, forced Jameek to stop his feet, and allowed the rest of the Acadia defenders to come in and make the play.
And you don't want to stop your feet against this Acadia defense because they have athletes across the board now. This is a very speedy D.
And they love to hit, too. More importantly, this is a hitting defense, and they will put the hat on you.
Right now, St. Mary's coming out in a 3-2 set. Lagier line up next. Taylor coming across, 4-1. Creighton stepping up in the pocket, looking to throw up top. Chris Cole giving coverage. And that looks like an incomplete pass. Big play by Chris Cole. They went at him twice, and he is playing great. Great breakup by Chris Cole on the deep route to Tremblay.
Now, Chris Cole, you talked about him earlier. He used to be a point guard, starting point guard in the CIS. He was showing his basketball skills there. He knew the ball was in the air. He didn't panic. He played good potty position. Instead of worrying about what the receiver was doing, he was worrying about where the ball was. He had contact with his receiver running downfield. When the receiver made the catch, he got his hand there and ripped it out. Fantastic play using his basketball skills on the football field.
Chris Cull, former standout of the Joe McDonald Football League back in Sudbury, Ontario. Now Lautner sets up to punt the ball. Ross stands at the 30-yard line, getting ready for the return. Lautner punts it. Katie comes around the edge. Cam Wade giving chase right there. Short kick, bounce at the 40-yard line. Ross picks it up, trying to draw the no yards penalty. Not drawn.
Gains of 3. St. Mary's doing a great job of covering downfield right now, limiting the gains. Acadia's not a big play return team, but what they will do is catch the ball, secure positive yards. Ideally, you want 10 yards on a return. Acadia's being limited pretty much under 5 there. You talked about this, Kevin, earlier being a sort of a punch, counter punch kind of a game where teams are trading off and coming back and making comebacks on what the other team is doing. To bring it to a boxing contest, we're going to see who can land the final blow here.
Right now, St. Mary's seems to be struggling on offense on that drive. Acadia comes out in the pistol formation, 3-1 set. Anderson leads early. Gray sets up in the pocket, gives chase, and Gray sacrifices himself, knowing there's no play to be made there. St. Mary's, big rush there. 2 people came free on the edge. Neil King on the sack. He's getting across the board right now. Great play by King. Acadia now 2nd and 20 from the 30-yard line, it looks like.
Acadia had some players open downfield, but because of the coverage there, or because of the pressure by Neil King and Rob Jubenville off the edge, they're able to force Kyle Graves to give up his body and not take a big hit.
Acadia now sets up in the pistol. Looks to be twin formation, 2-2 set. Skibbin releases early. There's a catch on the sideline by Durling. Good for, we'll see what the spot is. It looks like it's short there. It looks like it, as the fans give the ref, give him a little bit of the gears there, thinking that the spot should have been a bit more forward, but that looks like the correct spot.
It is the correct spot. The fans don't have the perspective that we have up here. They're at a bad angle to be able to see that spot. Good job by Acadia, though, regaining some field position. Now with Kyle Graves' leg, they're going to be able to pin St. Mary's deep again and establish this victory in field position that they need.
Don't be surprised to see a fake here by Acadia. Same position against Mount Allison last week. They did the same thing. Looks like St. Mary's is ready. They have their defense in.
Right, another smart decision by Steve Samara and his coaching staff, just leaving his defense on the field, forcing Acadia to punt them the ball.
Acadia lines up. Graves sets up. Taylor back to return. Graves on the punt and hangs it up there, and that looks like a shorter kick, about 20-some yards.
Not great.
Holden Morales looks like he got tackled on the play there and letting the ref know. St. Mary's notorious for holding up the inside guys last year. Again, they would send heat up there and grab the guards and just fall down. Referees wouldn't call the play. That's how they set up the inside return.
Good strategy. If the refs are going to give it to you in a game of football, you take it.
Exactly.
Little surprised that Kyle didn't get a better punt off there. No pressure because of St. Mary's defense being on the field. Gave no rest, protected against the punt, but Kyle wasn't able to execute a proper kick there.
Right now, Creighton is now going to scrimmage the ball from what looks to be about the 40-yard line. Play action pass, Katie giving chase, and Ed McNally gets in on the sack. Ed McNally's having a terrific second half right now. 2 big plays there. Creighton knew that the heat was coming and just went down. Right now, 17-14 with 11 minutes left in the third quarter. Acadia gets a big sack there. St. Mary's scrimmaging now from what looks to be the 31-yard line, and it looks like it's going to be 2nd and 19.
Great coverage sack there by Acadia. Jack Creighton pulled the ball, looked like he wanted to throw it, but couldn't because no one was open. Ed McNally there on the wheel blitz was able to get off his blocker and make the tackle for a sack.
Creighton sets up the pass. Cam Wade comes free. There's a fumble on the play. Ed McNally picks up the ball. Acadia football from the St. Mary's 15-yard lines. The Moncton connection coming through. Both players on that play from Bernice McNaughton High School in Moncton, New Brunswick. Big hit there, sack fumble.
Now Cam Wade is an absolute ball player. He plays the weak halfback position. There they brought him on the blitz, played their zone coverage front side. Their time we talked about earlier, how on the backside of a play, if there's only 2 defensive linemen to a side, that center has to be able to pop to pick up whether it's a linebacker or a DB blitz. He didn't recognize it, got caught up on the front side, and Cam Wade absolutely unloaded on quarterback Jack Creighton.
Graves on the outside, throwing the out route there to Scott Kelly. Just a point there on that play. Acadia getting a sack on the rush there. Starting tackle, Brian Jordan out of the play. Scoring Brandon Jordan out on the play there. Right now, 17-14 Acadia with 10 minutes left. Acadia 2nd and what looks to be 1, and they look to be on about the 6-yard line. Reed Anderson comes in for Scott Kelly as they go for a heavier front.
Nice little sideline route there by Scott Kelly. Again, another Bernice McNaughton guy, teammate of Ed McNally and Cam Wade. Great football school out there in New Brunswick. Nice little pitch and catch off the play action counter boot. Sets up the 2nd and 1.
I formation. Gives it a quick little look. Reed Anderson getting the tough yardages today against his former alma mater. Nice little run there. 9 minutes, 52 seconds
Right,
left.
nice little dive play. You can't fault St. Mary's at all there. Anytime you're a yard off the ball like you are in Canadian football, that second and 1.5 is almost a given. Reed took a shot and just fell forward for another yard.
Acadia now comes out in their five receiver set. Reed Anderson comes out for Scott Kelly again. Look for Acadia now to try and get a shot here because they haven't been running too well. Samara defenses have traditionally stuffed Acadia in these situations. Let's see if this is a new Acadia. Graves looks to throw, throws the deep road, and Mike Squires, touchdown, and that's the hat trick for Mike Squires. Third touchdown of the game. This guy's coming up big in a big game. Great play there, nice route running. As Acadia is very excited on the sidelines. They know that this is a big game. Now it's time for the defense to step up here and get the stop. 9 minutes and 31 seconds left in the third quarter.
So normally Acadia likes to be physical downside the goal line, but they realize how good that front seven is of St. Mary's. They decide to bring in Brett Henney, the better blocking running back. Go 5 wide, spread them out, force them to cover you one-on-one, and they put a 6'3", 210 Mike Squires running probably the most difficult red zone route, which is the corner route, and threw the ball up to him in space, and he went up and got it.
Heck of a play by Acadia there. Kyle Graves is coming on strong. The last 3 weeks he's had trouble. A lot of people have said the weather. He's shown that it was the weather. Great playing there by the Acadia quarterback, showing his leadership there, leading the team now to a 24-14 lead.
Right, it's great to see Kyle come out and play a game like he is right now. He's completing over 75% of his passes. Important, no interceptions against this great St. Mary's defense. And now 3 touchdowns. We talked about it earlier, Kevin. For those of you who don't get the Chronicle here, Kyle Graves was interviewed last week and was asked about the game previous, and then was obviously asked about the game coming up against St. Mary's, and in a flurry of questions said that, we think that we're better than them. We think we're better than SMU. And that's obviously bulletin board material that you don't always want when you come into Acadia or when you come into a big game like we have today. But I think it's something that had bothered St. Mary's, but I think at the same time it's something that Acadia needed to feel. Acadia needed to say they've always been the second class of this AUS conference for St. Mary's. St. Mary's has dominated for years, and now you have Acadia coming in with this confidence that, you know what, this year we are better than them, and they're playing like it today on the field.
Bajan sets the kick. Jimmy Taylor needs a big return here to set field position. Look for Acadia to come downhill. Squib kick here. And Jimmy takes it from the 10-yard line. Acadia coming. Luke Falwell, great play on the block there. Luke Falwell giving up probably close to 100 pounds on that play, and he lays a blow into the big D tackle from St. Mary's, setting up the wedge.
Not only did Luke come in, normally with your wedge players, you're happy with them just taking on the wedge, forcing the receiver or the returner to bounce it outside and let everyone else make the play. For Luke Falwell, that wasn't good enough. He decided to take it on, shed his block, bounce off, fall into the returner, make the tackle here at the 32-yard line. For St. Mary's going to scrimmage their 1st and 10 play with a 24-14 deficit they got to overcome with 9:24 left.
Right now, St. Mary's looking to make a big play here. Last one, they're still out. They're starting left tackle. Brandon Jordan's out of the game. Let's see if this comes up becoming a big factor. You don't want any young guys going against big John Wilson out there. Cut block on John Cam Wade getting in there. And Luke Falwell taking it on like he took the wedge, or Mike Rostan's trying to make the play there. Just body check. I mean, you got to finish the tackle there.
You got to wrap up. Mike Rostance's eyes opened up huge there. He figured he had a kill shot. Ryan Tremblay wasn't looking. Unfortunately, Ryan Tremblay is a pretty big kid and didn't go down there. Mike just didn't go back to fundamentals, didn't wrap up, and an extra 10 yards there on the play for Ryan Tremblay. He was having an outstanding game for St. Mary's.
That's what St. Mary's needed on that play right there. They needed to take some life out of this crowd. This stadium gets pretty loud when Acadia starts rolling. The under route, Acadia doesn't bite on the fake. Going up top there, Mike Rostance, and Tremblay over top on Chris Cull. Ryan Tremblay making big plays there. Mike Rostance shoestring tackle. St. Mary's in 2 plays there. Like we've said earlier, they don't nickel and dime. They go up top.
And again, they rolled the safety over top there to Mike Rostance, the weak side of the field. That's 2 plays in a row where Mike Rostance has been victimized. You can't put that one on Chris Cull. He's kind of the underneath player there, the guy that's supposed to trail Ryan Tremblay. Mike Rostance has to be the over-the-top player because the number 2 receiver went underneath. putting Mike Rostance responsible for number one. Mike Rostance got caught with his eyes in the backfield, took a poor angle coming out of his break, let Ryan Tremblay, who has all that speed, beat him deep, and now you see Acadia scrimmaging inside their 10 now, with St. Mary's looking to close the gap.
Ryan Tremblay looking pretty tired from all his sprinting. He gets subbed out now for Matt Toogood, the star of last time these two met. Let's see if it happens here. He's matched up again on Brett Backman, it looks like. Creighton with the throw. Jake Thomas giving chase, the fade route as we talked about earlier, and Andrew Rowe beat over top. Touchdown there by, looks to be, trying to figure out the number 87, Carl Fitzgerald, the big wide receiver, second-year receiver out of Peterborough, Ontario. He looks a lot like Darcy Brown out there, 6'5", 230 pounds.
Again, going back to what we talked about in the halftime, St. Mary's needs to attack Acadia deep in order to have a chance of coming back into this game. That's where Acadia, I think, is weakest, is deep balls on their secondary. They're a very physical group as a secondary, but they're not great with the ball in the air.
And that's showing right there, Acadia having trouble on that. 3 big plays, 3 gains, touchdown. Now it's 24-21. 8 minutes, 29 seconds left in the third quarter. We're in a dogfight here. Chess match continues. Acadia's turn.
We saw a punch early on from Acadia, a counter punch by St. Mary's, still looking for that knockout shot that's going to end this game.
That was Acadia's chance there if they could make some plays in the air. Mike Rostance got exposed in that last series over top. Ryan Tremblay is beating people, and Graham Richardson, you know he'd love to be in there right now. Graham Richardson did very well against Ryan Tremblay last time these two teams played, and now he's stuck on the sidelines battling his concussion.
That last play by St. Mary's, a very, very well-designed goal line combination. The number 1 and 2 receivers both ran slants, which opened up the corner that they ran from number 3 in behind. Like we said with Mike Squires' touchdown, the corner is the toughest route to cover down inside the red zone, and with those receiver or the DBs having to play those slants, it opened up a lot of area for Tremblay to catch that ball deep.
Big kick by Lautner, looking to Clark, getting the ball out about the 4-yard line. Clark running. Oh, big hit there.
Number 24.
Big hit there. Ebelon Stone, the first-year DB out of Scarborough, Ontario, making the big hit on the play. Wow, that just sucked the life out of this crowd. Oh, that was a big hit there.
Again, it comes back to we talked about earlier. It looks like Acadia's wedge is getting a little too far ahead of their returner, and that allows for poor protection and allows for the opportunity for the opposing kickoff team to sneak in behind that wedge and make a play on the ball. They need to tighten things up, and what they need is a go call. They can't leave until they get a go call from their returner.
Graves from the shotgun, run play up the middle. Brett Henning on the carry. The Acadia's going with all 3 backs. It's starting to get tough in the secondary too. It's not just the guys up front who are getting into it right now. It looks like Mike Squires is battling right now with Anthony DeLaFlippo, the second year DB out of Portland, Maine. They're having some extracurriculars on the field there with a little extra shots. Squires probably letting him know he's caught 3 touchdowns today, and Filippo doesn't really seem to care. Now 2nd and 6 from the Acadia 24-yard line. Henny in the backfield now, 4-1 set. Low underthrow by Graves, looks to be a catch. They give him the catch, we'll check the spot now. Interesting to see what will be the call. A.J. Derling on the catch, having a pretty good game himself there. The Acadia slot receiver is having a heck of a game right now.
Now, St. Mary's is up in arms on the sidelines. They don't think that he got his hands underneath the ball. They think that he maybe trapped it against the turf, or there was a one-hopper.
Down.
Regardless, the referees were in great position because of the routes being run to be able to see if he did get his hands underneath of it. Either way, big play for Acadia.
Well, smart play by Derling. Even if he didn't catch it, he'd let everyone know. He grabbed the ball. I caught it. You know yourself, you're DB. You've seen it. The acting job, you got to win the Oscar every time those questions are called.
You got to fake it till you make it, is what we say.
Oh, exactly. And that was a great play by A.J. Derling. If he didn't catch it, it was a great play to sell it now. Henny in the backfield again. Interesting to see why Skiven is in it right now. Run play underneath Brett Henny. Brett Henny showing his running might there, and a 2-yard gain right now. Henny right now looking a little labored in his leg. be interesting to see if he stays in.
Just another outside zone play. They pulled the guard to give him a little bit of a lead there. But you're right, Brett Henney doesn't have the same explosiveness that Zach Skiven had in the first half. Zach Skiven with his helmet off right now, we don't know if it's injury or if it's performance still from that fumble. But right now, Brett Henney's getting the bulk of the carries.
Right now, Acadia lines up in a 4-1 set. Henney in the backfield again. Henney sets up to block Graves with plenty of time. The out route to Derling. Derling makes one DB miss, breaks another tackle, and is taken down for a short gain, about 3 yards. Acadia ball at looks to be the 36-yard line, 3rd and about 5. Acadia comes out with a punt team. Ryan Tremblay now out to return. We see a 2 returner set right now.
We talked about it a little bit earlier with St. Mary's match coverage. One of the things the match coverage doesn't cover very well is those those underneath routes or any routes that don't really get past the line of scrimmage. Acadia knows that. They try to take advantage of that with the little swing route on the semi-bubble screen. But good job by the St. Mary's secondary, able to come down and make the hit.
Graves putting it a bit in there. The off returner picks up one. Jameek running around, met by a mask. Mike Benson in there, helmets off, making a tackle. Again, you could see these two teams are risking injury today. Mike Benson, long hair flowing with a helmet off, trying to make a play.
Mike Benson makes more tackles without his helmet than he does with. Seems to pop off on a consistent basis. Jean-Marc Tomei, equipment guy, should probably see if he can get that rectified. Jean-Marc Tomei chasing him down the sidelines, trying to help him out with his chin strap.
I think he does it intentionally. Makes the tackle look better. Maybe get on TSN or something like that. Big plays there by Mike Benson, though.
The scouts are in attendance tonight. We talked about that before. Mike Benson may know that, trying to get a little bit of attention. But right now the show is Mike Squires.
Nice run up the middle there by Legier. Fighting forward for a 9-yard gain. 8 yards after first contact at the line of scrimmage, diving. Legier every year you see him, he runs a bit harder, gets a bit bigger, and he's a step faster.
Right. St. Mary's trying to grind right now. They ran that zone play that we've been talking about. Everyone blocked the front side of the play. Now John Wilson has been bending down that backside, really killing them on that zone play. So St. Mary's countered by bringing Tremblay into the box, almost like a fly look, but came down and hit John Wilson, impeded his progress from making a play on the ball carrier.
Ryan Tremblay doing it all right now, even factoring into the run game. Creighton sets up, run play there. Oh, and big tackle there by Ed McNally, but he gets the 3-yard gain. Andrew Frazier giving chase in the backfield. Nice running by Legier. This is why Legier's the best offensive weapon in the AUS.
Certainly coming along now. We talked about St. Mary's needed to establish in the run. One of the reasons why it makes it, as opposed to passing the ball, it's a lot more physically taxing on a defensive line to be absorbing all those hits by the offensive line than it is to, say, attack them when it's a pass play.
And Acadia brings in Kirby Fletcher now to be in the D tackle. They got Jake Thomas at end, like in that matchup. Brandon Jordan's still out of the game right now. Acadia's got 2 of their best players out. Pass rush up there on the seam run, and there's a play. Brett Backman again getting exposed on the deep route there. Mike Rostan's unable to come over top. Same with Luke Falwell. Acadia is having issues in this situation.
A little skinny post action there by the number 1 receiver, taking advantage of the soft deep coverage that Acadia gives up. Again, Mike Rostance took a very bad angle coming across, tried to undercut the rope, but didn't see where the receiver was running. If you look up the receiver, you'll know where he's going. And if you get to where your receiver is, the ball will be there. Instead of being your eyes in the backfield looking at the quarterback, you have to find your receivers, find your targets.
Right now, St. Mary's scrimmaging from the Axemen 6-yard line. They bring in a tight end right now. They bring in an extra lineman right now. Legier steps up. Passing play. Wide open on the outside. Improper leverage there by Cam Wade. Jameek Taylor with the touchdown. Pitch and catch there. Right now, Acadia is reeling. Now it's time for the counter punch by Acadia, because right now St. Mary's is making all the right moves.
St. Mary's, Jameek Taylor had a nice little tight split to the line of scrimmage. Stemmed Cam Wade, the halfback who was in man coverage, stemmed him to the inside, so brought him closer to the middle of the field. Then Jameek Taylor snapped back outside, ran the quick little out route, and was pretty much wide open for Jack Creighton to hit him for the touchdown.
Right now, Acadia is having issues in their secondary. The weak side's now starting to leak a little, but the wide side is a big concern for Acadia, not just for the rest of this game, but for the playoffs and forward. If they want to continue to go forward, they have to get better at that deep play. The book right now, it looks, is out on Acadia. They can't cover the deep play. Chris Cole giving chase there on it, but St. Mary's tags it on 27-24 with 4 minutes and 13 seconds left. Who'd have thought St. Mary's comes right back and takes the lead, down 10. Now they take it by 3.
We've seen another counter punch. St. Mary's has Acadia strapped up against the ropes.
Who's going to step up now for Acadia? Jake Thomas and Mike Rostance right now waiting for the play call. Time for a big play for Acadia in the return game. Last play, huge hit there by Evelyn Stone. Let's see if Acadia can rectify their issues right now. As Elliot said, Acadia is having problems in the kick return game because their wedge is getting too far ahead. St. Mary's is coming down hard. They run downhill.
Stone's lining up from that 4 spot from the field, from that wide side. So he's in perfect position to bend around that corner and make a play. Let's see what he does this play.
Again, Clark gets the ball. Big block up head. Clark getting to the outside, and that's some positive yardage to the 34-yard line. Great run there by young Zach Clark, making his impact making an impact now in the return game. Time to see how St. Mary's does on defense. It seems like no team wants to take control of this game.
Better job by Acadia securing their blocks up front. The kick that pulled the returner closer to the sidelines eliminated that field side players from being able to get in behind the wedge and make a play.
28-24 right now for St. Mary's. Acadia scrimmaging the ball from what looks to be about the 33-yard line. 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Skibbin back in, Skibbin running the ball, and looks to be stuffed for about a 2-yard gain.
Just a little lead play to the weak side of the field. Didn't catch St. Mary's off guard at all. They held their gaps, picked up their blockers, freed up their linebackers, and who made the play on the carry.
It looks like inside guide number 44. Number 44, I'm trying to Norris right now, 44. Acadia in the pistol formation, 3 minutes left in the quarter. Skibbin leaks out on the swing. Graves looking for that. Throwing to Durling. Durling nearly one-hands it down. Got to get 2 hands on that one. But now St. Mary's forced to punt. Acadia forced to punt the ball back to St. Mary's.
St. Mary's throwing blows right now. Had that big score, and now are forced a 2 and out. Puts themselves in much better field position as opposed to giving up a couple first downs. Gives their offense another short field to work with coming up, barring a big return by St. Mary's.
Acadia now kicking the ball from what looks to be about their 35-yard line. Graves sets up to punt. 2 returner set, low snap. Graves booms the kick. 40-yard line, and Jameek Taylor steps out of bounds. St. Mary's now seems to be getting the same field position over and over again from the 40-yard line. They lead Acadia right now 28-24 with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the third quarter of play. Right now it seems like the pace of the game is slowing down with all these changeovers. Right now St. Mary's continue to land deep throws. Right now the field position, St. Mary's is winning the battle. They're getting the ball consistently at the 40-yard line. St. Mary's takes over at the 40-yard line, 28-24. They lead. Creighton keeps the ball. Creighton running, had lanes outside, but decides to come upfield.
They ran that zone play again, where they're reading the front side out on that time. That would have been Jake Thomas they were reading there. And Jack Creighton decided to pull it at the very last minute. The ball was all the way inside of Craig Legier's arms, pulled it last second, booted out the other way, which threw off the Acadia defense, who had to rally late to make a play for 7 yards.
Looked like Andrew Rose down on the ground there. Might be an equipment issue, but his helmet flew off. Get another stoppage in play at 2 minutes and 7 seconds left in the third quarter. Acadia is trailing 28-24. Braden Guy steps in now for Andrew Rowe, wondering if it's equipment issue or if he's actually hurt. The trainers are working on him, and not equipment manager John Mark Tomei. That right now, St. Mary's is just dictating the pace. Acadia got those 2 quick scores right out the gate, and got that quick score right out the gate, and now they seem to be struggling a bit. One-handed catches on the sidelines or one-handed attempts is hurting them. Zach Skiven's unable to get in the game. Curious to see why they went with Brett Henney out the gate and not Zach Skiven, who was running the ball so effectively.
Right. Zach Skiven, I mean, it's night and day, the difference between explosiveness between the 2 ball carriers. Brett Henney, who came into the season as a lead back, looks like he's running a little bit labored than he had in previous games when he was healthy.
Right now, 6 receivers set for St. Mary's. 2nd and 4, it looks like, from about the 45-yard line. Acadia sending pressure. Oh, and no, not an incomplete pass. Yep, that's incomplete there. Chris Cull going in, trying to get that first career interception. Missed one against Mount Allison a few weeks ago. Almost trapped that one there.
Great job. They dropped into a cut coverage there on the boundary side of the field. The halfback was deep. Jameek Taylor ran that out route that he's pretty good at running to the boundary side of the field. Jack Creighton, with it being the further throw, put a little too much on it, got past Jameek and almost fell into the arms of Chris Cull.
Chris Cull, if that's a little higher, Chris Cull still running. Fortunate break for St. Mary's there. Now, Mike Rostan sets up at about the 25 to return Lautner's kick. Lautner kicking from about the 46-yard line. Rostan catches on the bounce. Big block down there by looks to be Drew Morris making some plays out there. He's in the rivalry. It's his first year here, second time against St. Mary's, but he knows what he's doing right now. Big hit there, freeing up some room for Mike Rostans, who gained about 3 yards on the play.
Again, great coverage by the St. Mary's punt team there, being able to get downfield. Mike Rostans should have tried to catch that ball on the run, and instead, by letting it bounce, created extra time for St. Mary's to get downfield, corral him, and push him out of bounds there at the 35-yard line.
Rostans is certainly struggling right now, catching the ball in the air, and he's also having trouble in the game on defense. 1st and 10 now from about the 35-yard line. Acadia trails 28-24. Kyle Graves gets on the outside, throws the deep route, and interesting to see if there's a holding play there. No call on the play. Kyle Graves is down. He took a big shot there. See if he can get back up. He took a shot there by the middle linebacker, Kyle Norris, number 33, making a big hit there. Kyle Graves looks to be shaking it off, though. He's stepping back up. But interesting why there was no play call there, no flag thrown there on the up and go by Stu Clough.
Right, the field corner, Kyan Martian, a big thing there with Stu is Stu Clough seemed to stop on the play, like he didn't know where the ball was. He definitely slowed down and wasn't able to find the ball, but he looked like he had the field corner beat.
Acadia sets up in the pistol yet again. 2-2 set. Skibbin in the backfield. Skibbin leads early on the swing pass. Kyle Graves again looking up top. Underthrown. Intercepted there, underthrow. And it's a fumble on the play. And again, Smew recovers. That's the big play there that St. Mary's needed. Going again up top, trying to throw it in between. Right there, it seemed like field corner Ken Marsh was in on that play, was in there, who made the interception, was battling for the ball in the air. Kalen Marshon Wright in on the play. He ripped the ball to Stu Clough's hands. That seemed to be a want play there, and he wanted it more. That was a play Acadia needed, and so did Smew. Smew got it. Smew now gets the ball from the 50-yard line, again winning the field position battle. With 38 seconds left, they're winning 28-24. You sense the nervousness now in the crowd at Acadia. They've seen this happen before. Creighton looks to throw, pump fakes. Jake Thomas gives chase, sack in the backfield on the play. A lackadaisical pump fake there by Creighton. I don't know who he was trying to fool on that play, but it looked real lazy. I don't think former Acadia quarterback and SMU quarterback coach Keith Lockwood taught that up. Keith Lockwood was known for one of a very, very deceptive pump fake.
Yeah, Keith was a very, very technical quarterback when he was here, and which is why you see him as the quarterbacks coach over at St. Mary's, and is currently doing a tremendous job at coaching up Jack Creighton. You've seen leaps and bounds in terms of his performance over the last 2 years.
And Jesse Mills came in and played great and win his spot starting at the beginning of the year. St. Mary's now looks to be a center screen over the middle. Legier with plenty of room. Luke Falwell coming downhill, and Legier gets the first down, it looks like, as the third quarter comes to an end. St. Mary's leads the Acadia Axemen 28-24. Let's see where they spot the ball. It looks like they're giving third down yardage, but St. Mary's is obviously going to try and do a goose and go here under center.
Andrew Frazier stepping onto the field now to come back into the game. Andrew Frazier is normally playing defensive tackle. Had him out of there because it was 2nd and 15, definite pass situation. But even though Andrew Frazier isn't the strongest pass rusher, what he is very smart, and he's normally able to sniff out those screens. You normally see him on those screen plays, take up field, see the screen, turn around, and tackle the ball carrier for a loss. The inexperience of the interior there with Kirby Fletcher in the game definitely pushed the advantage towards St. Mary's there, and that's why they're able to execute that play for near first down.
St. Mary's bringing in a lot of size right now as we face the 3rd and inches as the quarter comes to an end.
Backup fullback Nigel Dawes, starting fullback Kiki, both come into the game to provide some presence on the running game. We'll see how they see what play selection they go with here at the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Acadia threw their first turnover there. St. Mary's is getting real good field position right now. That's what seems to be the turn of the game right now. Acadia's defense seems to be struggling at stopping the big play. There, even on a short screen, they got close to 19, 20 yards there. They're getting deep plays over top on the weekend, short sides. Be interesting to see what Acadia does here to try and negate St. Mary's momentum. You sense some anxiousness right now in the Acadia stands, even on the Acadia sidelines. St. Mary's knows how to come back and seal these games out. This isn't their first rodeo. Acadia last year, the same thing happened. They didn't put up these points, but still, Acadia lost to St. Mary's in the same position last year.
Short yardage situation.
3rd and inches. Let's see what happens here. Quarterback sneak. Looks like Creighton got it. Falls backwards, then falls forward for a 3-yard gain there. St. Mary's first down. 1st and 10 now from what looks to be about the 48-yard line in Acadia's territory.
And we have a new target out there for Acadia. Rookie cornerback Alex Stoka has now checked into the game at the field corner. Brett Backman is getting his ankle taped. We'll see if he comes back into the game. But again, look for them to try and challenge a new player deep.
With Damone Blackman on him right now, the first-year receiver out of Oshawa, Ontario. Rookie versus rookie matchup. Wildcat, there's the holding call. Easy call for the official to make there. Jake Thomas, John Wilson tackled to the ground by 64. Jamie Wandell, the first-year O-lineman out of New Westminster, BC, going against the old man, John Wilson, the fourth-year D-lineman out of Hamilton, Ontario.
Another part of their package they just put in there is Jameek Taylor lining up at the quarterback position, putting more athleticism on the field, putting the ball in the hands of their playmaker, which we talked about at halftime is a key for their success this half. Jack Creighton comes back in to lead the huddle.
28-24 with 14:32 left in the game right now. St. Mary's looks to be 1st and 20 now from their side of the 55-yard mark. Looks like they're in the 4-1 formation. Legier in the backfield.
Ryan Tremblay back at that field corner spot against rookie Alex Stoka.
They try and get out of there. Jameek in space. Jameek gets the edge there. Ed McNally giving chase. 9-yard gain. 2nd and 11 now from looks to be the 49-yard line. Rostance in on the tackle there. Acadia now sends in their dime formation.
Alex Graham coming into the game in favor of Andrew Frazier. We saw that work in St. Mary's favor the last time with their ability to pull off the screenplay, but a bit more of a passing situation here. We'll see if Alex Graham can provide a bit more secondary support to the St. Mary's passing game.
Acadia certainly needs to get a turnover here, or at least force a change of possession. Acadia is having issues right now with that. They're in the empty set, 6 receiver set, 3-3. Creighton sets up, looks up, gives pressure, gives chase. Big block there, and Creighton slides down. Doesn't want to take a hit there from rookie corner Stoka coming up the hill, a little intimidating there, right?
Stoker's not a big guy. Jack Creighton probably should have tried to run him over there. Alex Stoke, another freshman cornerback, actually the number one high school point guard in the country. Is doing double duty this year with the Axemen football team and Axemen basketball team. Between him and Chris Cull, there's some good basketball talent in this team, and you can see why that. You see why he may be in the game right now to have better ball skills up against those jump balls.
Right now, Lautner sets up to punt the ball. Rostance at the 5-yard line, sets to receive. Acadia goes up with a return. Ball out of bounds at what looks to be the 11-yard line. Acadia didn't send much pressure on that one. They were just trying to force St. Mary's to punt. Again, St. Mary's likes to run as many fakes as as the Acadia does. Coach Cummins and Coach Cummins as well as Coach Samara, both very similar philosophies. They like the trick plays, the razzle-dazzle. When you ask Coach Samara if we should expect any trick plays today, he said always.
It goes back to those two being very similar personalities. They've grown to know each other a lot over their past 10 years here in the conference, are known as best of friends off the field, and obviously share a lot of their theories and their philosophies on the game of football.
Again with the counter look, big block upfield. Skibbin breaking tackles, running forward, and looks to have gotten a first down there. That counter look there, getting Skibbin to the edge and forcing him to go upfield, has been very successful. Big Wade Conrad manhandling the defensive end there on the boundary side.
Again, Zach Skibbin, that's kind of explosiveness we saw early in the first quarter. Acadia's come back to that great counter play. Two pulling guards coming out on linebackers with a lot of down blocks. Saw some cuts there. Saw Wade Conrad come out and seal the backside edge, allowed Zach Skibbin to bounce it and get upfield for a first down.
Wade Conrad, the team's all-conference O tackle last year, switched over from D tackle the year before. Graves sets up the pass, looking deep, has it over top. A.J. Derling on the catch. Oh, and unable to come down with it. Acadia missing those up top shots. St. Mary's is hitting him. Acadia is not right now. Graves is having trouble on that deep throw right now. He's leading his receivers too far. That was a sure touchdown.
That's right. If he hits him in stride, he's able to corral that ball and get upfield there on Eric Black. Eric Black, brother of Matt Black for the Toronto Argos, coming from a good, strong football tradition at the Northern Secondary School in Toronto, Ontario. Was in on the coverage, but allowed A.J. Derling to get inside leverage on him and get upfield.
Acadia takes the ball, 2nd and 10 from about the 35-yard line, or the 25-yard line rather. Pistol formation. Skibbin releases early. Graves under pressure. Looks for the open receiver. Finds it. Underneath to Taylor Renault. Taylor Renault working upfield. Coming up. Tackled from behind. Gets to the 40-yard line. 15-yard gain. 1st and 10 now from the 40-yard line. Acadia making waves. 12 minutes and 6 seconds left. Down 28-24 to the St. Mary's Huskies.
Right, he had a backside crosser coming from Taylor Renaud, who normally lines up at 1 week, came all the way to the front side of the play, caught the ball short of a first down, but it was Mike Squires who was able to make a great block there on the secondary to allow his roommate Taylor Renaud to get upfield and get that first down.
Kyle Graves lines up under center. Reed Anderson in the H-back position over to the wide side of the field. Skibbin in the backfield, 2-2 set. Dive to Skibbin. Skibbin working hard, gaining a yard on the play. 2nd and 9 now from the 41-yard line. 11:44 left in the game. Acadia trails 28-24 to St. Mary's for home field advantage and a bye spot in the finals.
That's the big one there, folks. Great. There's a little lead play there by Acadia, but outstanding job by the front four of Geeter, Jubenville, Keating, and then the linebackers of Norris to be gap responsible, come down and make the tackle. Force a 2nd and 9.
2nd and 9 now. Acadia takes over from the 42-yard line. Pistol formation, 2-2 set. Skibbin in the backfield. Reed Anderson lines up next to Kyle Graves. Skibbin leaks out of the backfield. Graves looking on the dropout route by looks to be A.J. Derling. A.J. Derling on
Mike Squires, again, number 5. Garbudo's got his 5s and his 3s mixed up today. But
they look alike.
A great job by Mike Squires pushing that DB R.J. Cornish vertical on that, forcing him to respect the vertical route that that Squire's been successful on today, and at the last second, snapping his hips, turning around, catching the ball in the dropout right by the sideline for a first down.
1st and 10 now from the 53-yard line, Acadia's side of the field. Pistol formation again, 3-1 set. Acadia with the flea flicker looking up top. They have the deep route there. Renault in on the catch and tackled down at the 4-yard line. Big play by Acadia, pulling out all the stops right now. Big play there, flea flicker. Coach Tom Flaxman has been known to say he doesn't like those gimmick plays, but there he had a trick up his sleeve there. Great play by the Acadia Axemen now. Looks like Taylor Renault's on the ground.
Looks like he's favoring his wrist. May have gotten it jammed up as he got tackled to the turf there. For those of you who just missed it, flea flicker there on a 1st and down play. Gave the ball to Zach Skibbin, approached the line. He turned it around, flipped it back to Kyle Graves, who threw it downfield to number 1 receiver and number 1 player, Taylor Renaud, who'd gotten just in behind R.J. Cornish and was able to make the play.
As right now, Taylor Renault's 10-2. Tristan Hercules comes in to sub him out, the third-year receiver out of Northern High School in Toronto, Ontario.
We'll see where he lines up. Maybe he'll be lined up against former teammate Eric Black, who played with him there at Northern. Again, another very strong school. Their brother, Eric's brother Matt, has been in the CFL for several years now, developed into a very good CFL player. Eric definitely has a lineage. Let's see if he can live up to Matt's ability.
Acadia's defense right now regrouping on the sideline, talking it over, trying to get ready because they see their offense putting in work right now with 10 minutes, 42 seconds left. They're scrimmaging the ball, 1st and goal from what looks to be the 9-yard line. Skibbin in the backfield going with an H-back. Reed Anderson lined up to the wide side just outside the tackle.
And that strong side up back look.
As Renault gets off the field, Skibbin in the backfield, Graves under center. Graves fakes the counter look on the bootleg right now, looking to throw. Great contain there, throwing into the back of the end zone, and touchdown, Mike Squires. It's the Mike Squires show right now. 4 touchdowns. I saw that one. Didn't get the numbers mixed up. When it's on my side, it's easier for me. Right now, Acadia makes a big play there to take a 30-28 lead with 10 minutes and 28 seconds left in the 4th quarter for
Fantastic play by Mike Squires there.
Great play.
Down in the end zone, they ran the counter boot with Zach Skibbin in the backfield. That counter play has been so successful, and they ran the pass action off of it. Kyle Graves booted out of it, had Tristan Hercules deep, open in the back of the end zone, but wanted to find his number 1 receiver, Mike Squires, in the corner. Tremendous job by Mike catching the ball in traffic, getting that 1 foot in for the touchdown.
Mike Squires having a heck of a day today with 4 touchdowns, making it look easy out there.
And we talked a little bit earlier about pro scouts being in attendance tonight. If Mike Squires wanted the shot at playing the CFL, he has CFL size, he has CFL speed, has CFL route running abilities. He's now showed he has CFL performance abilities here in today's game. 31-28 now, 10:28 left in the 4th quarter.
Great play there by Mike Squires, making a touchdown, walking the tightrope, getting his foot in bounds, making that big play there. He's coming up big. Acadia now fires back with their punch. Let's see if they can hold St. Mary's. 31-28 now, 10 minutes, 28 seconds left. Beijing sets to kick the ball, setting the stage for a dramatic finish right now.
We've seen that counter punch yet again. Acadia was back up against the ropes. They were taking shots from St. Mary's, both on offense and defense. And now it looks like they've thrown their own counter punch. They're working off the ropes. We're still looking to see who can deliver that knockout blow here at Raymond Field at Acadia University.
Jameek Taylor sets up to return the ball. Beijing sets the kick.
Joined back there by Kevin Withrich, the off returner, former Edmonton Wildcat, former Edmonton Eskimo, now St. Mary's player.
Beijing sets up to kick the ball. Kicks it over to Taylor. Taylor catches it on the run, flying upfield, trying to wind it back, getting up to about the 30-yard line, down at the 33-yard line. Tackle on the play.
Number 20, Jack Rush there in on the tackle. Could have been dangerous there for a little while. Jameek Taylor built up all that speed there, caught it on the run. But the only thing is when you do that, you don't have the proper spacing with your blockers to execute a proper return. Acadia knifed in. Jack Rush, fantastic special teams player, will be a starter here in the Acadia secondary for years to come, came in and made the play.
Coached by former Acadia Sam linebacker Kirsten Crothers, product of the Niagara Spears program, which has put out a lot of talent in Acadia, specifically Steve Patrick, who is a 4-year starter at center.
Also
Acadia
former lead trumpeter as well.
Oh, yes, lead trumpeter. St. Mary's in the bunch formation again, going up top, trying to go at Chris Call, and no flag on the play. Chris Call gets away with one there. There looked like some contact, but I think
a little bit of contact there, but on Blackman there, just a little bit of a hand tug. What was great about Chris Call there is he had his vertical position on him, where now Blackman had to run through him. Normally when you run step for step, or when you're running in a trail position, you don't have that ability to impede legally a receiver's route. Chris Call got on top of him early, rubbed him off his angle, and was able to get a little bit of a hand tug that could have been called, but 2nd and 10 now for St. Mary's inside their own 35.
Acadia now subs out Andrew Frazier, 2nd and 10 now. Number 22, Alex Graham, subs into the game now as the dime back for 1 formation. Creighton sets up to throw, looks, steps up in the pocket, trying to find the deep route over the middle. Stoka coming across, making a big play. The rookie getting in there against St. Mary's, against the St. Mary's. Oh, is Jameek Taylor on the play there, coming in. That kid's got confidence there. You have to.
We talked about Chris Call being a basketball player, being able to use his point guard abilities on the football field, being able to shield receivers, see the ball in the air, have confidence in his abilities to attack the ball. Alex Stoka, same thing. Didn't worry about where his receiver was, had connection with him, had contact with him, made a great play on the ball. Looks like he could be a solid player for years to come, and may even be a contributor down the stretch here for Acadia.
Great play there by the young DB out of Ottawa. Rostan sets up to return the punt now. Lautner with the kick. Katie setting pressure in, and no call on the play. Cam Wade dodges a bullet, and Samara is losing his mind right now on the sidelines.
And Jake Thomas comes in to clean up, but Steve Samara became the 13th cover man on that coverage as he ran onto the field, voicing his displeasure for what should have been, and rightfully so, should have been a first down for St. Mary's.
And just a little note for you there, Mike Squires has tied the AUS record for most touchdowns in a game, tying former Acadia Axemen Eric Nielsen with 4, former St. Mary's receiver Kevin Shaw, and former St. Mary's receiver Mike Kirkpatrick for the most receiving touchdowns in a game. Again, Skibbon now under center with the run.
Falls forward for 4. What's even more impressive about Eric Nielsen's number of 4 touchdowns, for those of you that aren't familiar with Acadia history and AUS history, Eric Nielsen played cornerback, that weak side cornerback spot for Acadia University, but he was so fast and so talented that they had special packages designed for him to blow the cover off the top of coverages, get downfield, and make plays. Eric Nielsen, a 3-time first-team All-Canadian at this cornerback spot for Acadia, was also apparently a tremendous receiver as well.
8 minutes, 33 seconds left. Acadia scrimmage the ball, 2nd and 8 now from about the 48-yard line. Graves looks to throw, nothing there. Under pressure, sidesteps. Sean Feasby with the big block there. Graves upfield, about to the 50, steps out of bounds. Nice block there by Tristan Hercules to let his quarterback escape freely.
Block of the game, perhaps, Alex Feasby.
Sean Feasby.
Sean Feasby. Kyle Graves felt the rush, stepped up, had to avoid another rusher, but then was able to sidestep him, get the block picked up, get upfield, and step out of bounds for a first down, keep this drive rolling, and more importantly, keep the clock rolling, which we stand at 8:15 now. Acadia nursing a 3-point lead, looking to deliver that knockout shot.
Acadia now in a bunch formation in the backfield, the Apollo set, moving to a pistol. Graves fakes the handoff to Skibbon, looking up top. Stu Clow open down the seam, breaks a tackle down to the 15-yard line. Acadia is firing in all cylinders as Stu Clow tells out of the crowd, this is a first down. Coach Samara has to be fuming right now on the sideline, especially since that should have been a roughing the kicker penalty. And Coach Cummins has to be telling Cam Wade, you got lucky there, bud.
Hey, well, we talk about officiating is very good here in the AUS, but there's always room for improvement. We saw a marker of that last week when a play was blown dead on what looked like a tackled run play, when in fact Kyle Graves had the ball and was rolling out and made a throw downfield. So there is error that comes in this game. That was one that was missed. Fortunately for Acadia and unfortunately for St. Mary's, it looks like it could affect the outcome of this game.
Sometimes you got to make those breaks happen, and the good teams get lucky. And with teams this good playing against each other, it comes down to the breaks. As Acadia in a 5-receiver set, Skibbins in the backfield looking to finish the game off right here. Graves looking to throw, takes a big hit, thrown to the back of the end zone, and forced out of bounds there.
42, the backside end for St. Mary's, Rob Jubenville came off the edge and laid a shot on Graves, who's still able to get the ball out and just out of the reach of the 6'3" Mike Squires, who had his toes in bounds, but couldn't corral the pass.
Right now, Kyle Graves is hanging in there, taking some shots. Last year, he got knocked out of the game, and the last 2 times he faced SMU in the 2010 season. This game, he's hanging in there, walking the walk and talking the talk, playing a great game.
We saw him earlier taking hits on the run. Now we see him stepping out of bounds, sliding. Could be an indication of the pounding he's taking today.
Kyle Graves sets up from the short screen. It's red. Graves breaking a tackle, trying to get to the ground. Acadia sets up now, looking to probably kick a field goal here as the rookie Ryan Bejen comes in to hit a very big kick.
Great play by Ryan Keating, the backside defensive end there. Acadia allowed the pressure to come upfield, snuck Zach Skibbin out of the backfield, looking for the receiver screen. Ryan Keating snuffed it out, turned around, snatched up the running back and forced Kyle Graves to try and make a play with his feet. So now we'll see the inconsistent Ryan Bejen try and come in and make a field goal to extend this lead, make it a 6-point game.
So right now Bejen sets up to kick. Should be a makeable kick, about 27 yards, 28 yards, but he's had some issues now. This is a very big kick. Acadia's had trouble with kickers in the past, and he hits it, and it is through the uprights. Acadia now up 34-28 with 6 minutes and 41 seconds left in the game. It'd be interesting to see if St. Mary's decides to return the kick or take the ball at the 35-yard line.
Acadia's happy with the 3 points there. You got to imagine, though, they're a little disappointed they didn't get the 7. After all, it still is a 6-point game. It is still a 6-point game with the way St. Mary's is playing on offense. We'll see how they can come back.
Stoka still in the game now. He's earning a spot right now. Great playing now by the young corner out of Ottawa, Ontario. Might have came in and stolen a dressing spot now for the rest of the season with Graham Richardson out. He could be the number 3 corner right now. Chris Cull's playing a heck of a game right now. So is Stoka. Brett Backman is struggling right now in the deep throw. Kyle Graves right now is 2 touchdowns also away from the Acadia record, which is shared by his coach, Chris Judd and Larry Justanis.
Larry Justanis, a great Canadian quarterback, maybe one of the best to ever play the game at the CIS level. Ontario-born guy. Came in here and tore up the league and actually was invited to the NFL Combine coming out of Acadia University, something that has probably never been done before.
And just to add something in there, Billy Robinson Sr. has the record for 7 in a game. Mike Squires now at 116 yards, 4 touchdowns on the day, having a great game, a career game for him as Acadia looks to close out the game here. 6 minutes, 41 seconds left. St. Mary's scrimmaging the ball from the 35-yard line. John Wilson comes back on the field after what we call a blood timeout. He has 2 minutes to get a cut taken care of. Once that's taken care of, he's back in. And as he is right now, St. Mary's comes out in a 3-2 set. Legier in the backfield. Creighton looks to pass, looking deep. Ed McNally misses the tackle. Jameek Taylor coming up underneath. Breaks a nice run there.
We talked about it at halftime. Jameek Taylor needs to get involved in order to make this happen. He's a dynamic player, and if there's going to be explosive plays, he's going to be the one responsible for it. Look for him, as well as Kevin Woothridge, to be involved in the intermediate passing game, with Tremblay still being the deep guy. Let's look for him to go deep still.
Surprising that Ed McNally misses that tackle. Right now he's sitting at 8 total tackles on the game. A sure tackler, not usually missing those in open space.
But a good indication of how good and how athletic Jameek Taylor is.
Creighton now sets up. Legier steps up. Creighton looking deep. John Wilson taking a load. There's a fumble on the play. Smew picks it up. Oh, Legier picks it up, trying to make something happen right now. Tackle for a huge loss. John Wilson playing in, Jake Thomas actually playing inside, picked up the center and the guard, carried him to the quarterback and got the sack. John Wilson in on the hit. That is a grown man in there playing amongst boys. The St. Mary's O-line has a bunch of young guys out there. John Wilson and Jake Thomas are grown men.
And what I attribute it to is the power gut.
They do have power guts. They are big guys. They do get low. 600 squat guys. They know how to get home there, and they do not like this Smew O-line. If you talk to them in private, they do not get along. Now, Acadia lines up now with the 3 front. They come in their dime package. 4-1.
Be aware for the screen, though.
Again, Creighton under duress. Throws the ball away. Interesting to see if there's an intentional grounding play. Incompletion. Jake Thomas in on the tackle again. Jake Thomas wants to close this game out. You could see him coming in here, playing tough. He's got a little bit of a swagger in him there. He's going beast mode, as they say now. Jake Thomas with some big plays. Exciting football here coming down the stretch. 5 minutes, 19 seconds left in the game.
Acadia lined up in that 3-man front. Common thought is, you're only going to be rushing 3. Acadia did a great job at bringing a 4th player. Cam Wade, who will be a CIS All-Canadian defensive back, off the edge, forcing the blockers to pick up more than they could handle. Jake Thomas made a great play.
There's the block by Cam Wade. Acadia is going to pick it up. Acadia will score here. Acadia to the end zone. Touchdown, Axemen. Like we said, watch Cam Wade on the block. This happened last year. Acadia making big plays, making it happen on the field. Great play by Cameron Wade. This kid is unreal. The block kicking specialist does it again. What a block coming off the edge. Smew player down on the play. Acadia now up 40-28. 5 minutes and 2 seconds. What a series of events there for the Acadia Axemen. St. Mary's has to be furious with the loss of the special teams game. They've kept Jameek Taylor under control. Now they come back with this. Number 84 for the St. Mary's, the injured player. Brett Laudner, the kicker. That is another big loss for St. Mary's right now. He's walking off with a limp. Cam Wade with a huge play there.
Picked up by Evan Williams.
Evan Williams' second career touchdown off a Cam Wade block punt. Those two
Evan Williams, buy that man a drink.
Cam Wade is making big plays. Evan Williams reaps the rewards. Great job for the Acadia Axemen. 5 minutes, 2 seconds left. 41-28 Acadia Axemen. Look how excited these players are. The crowd's alive. This stadium is electric. This is not common. Now Tyler Honeywood takes a knee here, I'm sure, just to keep get his team to catch a breath. But right now, Acadia is firing on all cylinders.
We talked about it earlier. It's been counts, punch, counterpunch, punch, counterpunch, counterpunch all game. And we may have just seen the knockout blow that we were talking about at halftime. Someone needed to deliver it. It looked like it was the Acadia special teams. The special teams battle had been a wash up until this point. Acadia may have just seized the advantage, won the special teams battle, and may have not delivered the knockout win for the game.
As Jesse Mills is taking throws down in the end zone, don't be surprised if he comes in the game. Creighton is struggling right now. Last time Creighton played a game at Acadia, that was Creighton's last game of the season last year. Remember that. Acadia knocked him out of that game, forcing turnovers. Right now, Acadia is playing very well. Their front four, again, is winning the battle up front, led by Jake Thomas and John Wilson, the two big men with the power guts. Right now, Beijing sets up to kick the ball. Jameek Taylor set on the boundary side, sets up to return the kick as Tyler Honeywood walks off the field. Looks okay. Fortunately, hopefully for the Acadia Axemen, he's able to come back in because they're going to need him to close this game out. Beijing sets up to kick the ball now. Beijing with the short kick, wondering if Jameek Taylor lets it go to bounds. Picks it up on the 20, getting some yardage right now. Running outside, gains to about the 30-yard line. Acadia gives chase. Mike Benson and Braden Guy in on the plays there. Brett Backman running downfield, still contributing, even though he's now not starting on defense. Stoka comes in right now. This could be the start of Stoka's reign at the corner spot. He's came in and hasn't missed a step.
Creighton's still in the game. Jameek Taylor there on that last return, we talked about how incredibly athletic this player is. There he tried to beat everyone on the team by himself. He needs to trust that his blockers will block for him.
John Wilson again giving chase there. Short throw now, flip pass. Creighton coming downfield, trying to make a block, slicing. Looks like Cam Wade in the ankles there. Big play for the Axemen. That looks like Tom Labinski, who actually got knifed in the legs there. Jack Creighton coming downfield. They're in their quick huddle offense. 4 minutes, 23 seconds, 2nd and 5 left. 30-yard line, St. Mary's scrimmages from. Looks for the out route right there. Acadia coming downhill, first down it looks like.
Again, to Worthurst, we talked about him being an underneath presence, an intermediate route runner, a guy that has sure hands and good routes. They use him to his advantage there and hit him again for a first down to get the chains moving here in this 2-minute drill. Looks like John Wilson takes a knee.
It looks like right now there was some miscommunication on that play too. Tremblay also did a stop that looked like they were overlapping each other, not so much like a double stop.
Right, it's not bad to run double stops, especially when you have a team that drops off and plays zone coverage. It gives you a chance for a quarterback to see where the hole will be, because there will be a hole in zone coverage. Unfortunately, they were overlapped there, which brought the defender closer to them.
Right now, St. Mary's looking to go quick huddle, in their quick offense. As 4 minutes and 11 seconds left, they have a first down. Anaka comes in for John Wilson, the first year D end out of the CIS program in Quebec.
Strong program over there in CIS. Something that Acadia is working to is getting more CIS talent into their program. It gets you a bit of an older player who's a bit more mature, similar to what St. Mary's does with great success. St. Mary's is big into bringing in junior players that they're a bit more experienced, a bit more physically ready to play the CIS game, and much bigger bodies. Acadia's trying to counter that so they can better compete long term in the AUS conference.
John Wilson looks like he has a sore hip there as he's motioning while grabbing his hip and trying to loosen it up.
Looked like he took a shot on the last time by the offensive tackle. Gave him a nice little cut block there to secure the edge and give Creighton the time to make that completion and move the sticks.
Right now, St. Mary's is reeling on the offensive front. They're having trouble stopping them. Jake Thomas is taking 2 at a time. John Wilson taking 2 to the party. And let's see how they do here. Big Kirby Fletcher inside now. Jake Thomas on the edge. Andrew Frazier subbed out. Anaka playing at the other end.
We also have Alex Graham in there for extra pass coverage.
Again, Jake Thomas coming off the edge. Dropout pass. Big catch there. Jameek Taylor fighting for the extra yards.
Looks like Blackman actually on the play, and
that's
something that you have to respect there. Acadia's been beaten deep pretty well by the deep coverage, deep route, especially on that field side. So what does St. Mary's do to counter? Well, they run vertical with Blackman, like he's going vertical for a big play, and then just drops it off and runs to the sideline. A nice 12-yard completion keeps the sticks moving. At this point in the game, you need to move the sticks.
Hey, St. Mary's out of their comfort zone right now, 4-1 down by 13. Big block there. Cam Wade giving chase.
Great play.
Chris Cull and Ed McNally making the big block. The former sweet roommates in Res over at Acadia. These two players are making great plays on the weak side. The weak side has been very strong on the underneath.
Yeah, just a straight drop pass there. Alex Graham has been pretty much a stable now here with the extra defensive back to counter for the deep passes. What that allows you to do is still run your blitzes with your DBs. Cam Wade came up there, defeated a block, forced the contain, and the quick throw that was defended by Chris Cull.
Empty set here as Anaka gets subbed out for Mike Benson. Mike Benson give chase on the edge, bringing tons of pressure on the outside. Big tackle there. Stoka again, short tackle there.
And just short of the first down. We can see it just about the 49-yard line, needing to get just past the 50 in order to get a first down. It's going to be a 3rd and short. Again, St. Mary's challenging Acadia deep, dropping out of it, coming back to the sideline. Acadia, all they have to do right now is just not give up the big play, and St. Mary's is taking what Acadia's defense is giving them at this point. Cameron
Stewart with the catch there, first-year receiver out of Ottawa, Ontario, making that big catch there. 3rd and 1 right now. 2 minutes, 52 seconds left. St. Mary's scrimmaging the ball from the 52-yard line. Look for the throw. Big catch there.
Nice little double slant route, trying to find the open zone. Blackman on the catch again. perfectly thrown, executed slant route. We consider it timing route. No friction provided by the Acadia DBs.
Acadia right now, the crowd's coming to life. Reed Anderson's cheering, encouraging the crowd to make some noise. 2 minutes, 44 seconds. First down from the Acadia 41-yard line. St. Mary's right now down 41-28.
Inside the 40, look for them to take a shot now. Look for them to take a shot. This is the 41-yard line is where they hit that first touchdown to Trombley. Look for them to do it again.
Crowd's coming to life right now. Creighton steps up in the pocket, gives Chase dropout. Chris Cull on the play, and that's an interception it looks like. They don't give it to him, says it touched the ground. Chris Cull having a heck of a game now in his second career start.
Chris Cull, tremendous. He played very, very patiently. He knew they were going to come back to that dropout route, played the vertical. As soon as he saw the receiver break down, he came back underneath of it, utilizing his very good ball skills to come underneath and make that play.
Right now, St. Mary's out of their comfort zone, having to go with quick short yardage throws. Creighton steps up in the pocket, heat off the edge, and Chris he is upset that he did not get that interception.
He would be walking into the end zone, striking up the band yet again.
Oh, that was a big play there. Third down now.
3rd and 10 coming up.
3rd and 10 now. Interesting to see why the play. Interesting to see that right there.
Looking to get a call right now. Looks like holding.
Holding right now.
Offside. Looks like offside. Normally on an offside play, you let the play continue. A strange anomaly in the rules, to say the least. Again, that inconsistent AUS.
Acadia right now, the fans are coming alive here. This is the loudest the stadium's been in years right now. Second and 15 right now from the 46-yard line. Another stoppage in play. 2 minutes, 28 seconds. Acadia up 41-28.
To give you an idea of how loud it actually is here, Mike Rostance and Andrew Rowe are trying to have a conversation, but they can't hear each other. So Andrew Rowe has to leave his Sam linebacker position to walk back into the defensive backfield so that they can actually hear what they're trying to accomplish.
The crowd's coming to life here right now. 2 minutes, 28 seconds, 2nd and 15. Creighton takes the snap, looking for the deep route. Stoka's there. Stoka up, and the rookie with the pick in the end zone, or they down it at the 1. Big play by the rookie there. Stoka might be now the number 2 corner with Brett Backman having trouble today, and Graham Richardson having his concussion problem. Big play there. Acadia scrimmaging the ball from the 1-yard line.
Now the referees are talking right now where the spot was going to be. This is a huge difference. If Stoka catches this in the end zone and downs it, then the ball comes out to the 35, which is great field position. But it's a game of inches, as we know, and catching the ball just outside the goal line, causes it to put them in bad field position to try and run this ball out.
Acadia right now is just going to try and run the ball twice and punt it from the shadow of their end zone. 2 minutes, 20 seconds left. Acadia's ball on the 1-yard line after showing Stoka's big.
And they do decide that it's going to go out to the 35-yard line.
And that is a huge shift. Huge shift.
They don't know where it's going either.
To the 20-yard line they decide. No. Yep. 20-yard line. Just going by what the referees are showing us right now, folks. Sorry about that. So Acadia now scrimmaging the ball from their 20-yard line. 1st and 10. 2 minutes, 20 seconds left. 41-28. Home field supremacy on the line, barring Acadia. Acadia wins next week and holds on to this one.
Zach Skibbin checks in with 99 yards at this point. Obviously, they have the faith in him to run this clock out.
St. Mary's loading the box right now. Skibbin gets the ball on the edge with daylight. Outrunning Norris. Chopped down at a 9-yard gain. Skibbin with back-to-back 100-yard performances. This is the running back everyone expected him to be when he came in. It took him a little while, but now he looks like he's ready to dominate.
He's running with a purpose. He's believing what he's seeing. He saw everyone tight to the box on the counter play, saw that he could bounce it outside, did so, had a very favorable matchup against the cornerback there.
Acadia now 2nd and 1 from the 29-yard line. 2 minutes left in the game. Graves under center, I formation, looking just to power the ball home.
Neil King into the box.
Offside, it looks like. Reed Anderson running up the middle, gaining yards. And to the 50-yard line, the former St. Mary's Husky fullback comes up the middle with a big gain there. St. Mary's caught off guard on that play.
St. Mary's stacked the box. They brought their safety down, created a 9-man box against Acadia's 8. Looked like they had a numerical advantage, but anytime you stack the box that much and you bring your linebackers close to the line of scrimmage, you don't have the appropriate levels to be able to defend that kind of a play. Everyone gets on the same levels, and you actually don't have to block as many people. One can block two in that situation. It worked. Created a small crease, and Reed Anderson was able to come up unblocked, without blocking, and untackled for a 15-yard gain.
Minute 47 seconds left. Acadia 1st and 10 from what looks to be the 42-yard line. Again from the Apollo formation as the clock trickles down. Acadia looking to eat every second possible. Graves lines up in the pistol. Anderson leaves early. The counter look that's given Acadia so much success gets stuffed up there for a 4-yard gain. 2nd and 14. A minute 25 seconds left. Smew has to be looking for a turnover now.
Great job by the Will linebacker, Brigham Wyatt Gray, who actually doubles as a defensive lineman out of Calgary. Came upfield, was not surprised by that counter look, got outside of the pulling guard. Zach Skimmon tried to bounce it where he maybe should have cut back upfield and underneath the block, and was able to fall off his block and make the tackle. Fantastic play by Gray there.
A minute 25 seconds left in the game. St. Mary's calls a timeout, trying to conserve as much time as possible, down by 13. Interesting to see now what Acadia goes with. They're probably going to try and run the ball here, just try and eat as many seconds as they can. St. Mary's, I don't believe, has any more timeouts left in the game.
I'm not sure. It's not really noted on the scoreboard, so we can't give you a definitive answer on that one. But the final countdown is playing, I can tell you that.
Sean Stoka having a great game today in his first CIS appearance. Dressed a couple of games early, didn't get much game time, comes in today, makes the big pick at the end of the game on Ryan Tremblay, who has been victimizing the Acadia corners, especially on the field side.
Yeah, more importantly than that, he's come in and he's made some other solid plays in the ball. He's been very good in deep coverage, and when the play came to him, he made it.
Great job by him. Coach Cummins is always saying you're going to get your chance to make a play, and he took his opportunity with a great play.
Big plays don't care who make them.
And Sean Stoka made it. Minute 25 left, 2nd and 13 left in the game. Acadia scrimmaging the ball from what looks to be the 48-yard line. Pistol formation. Anderson leaves early. Looks like a throw. Graves looking to throw. Just taking the pick. Fumble on the play. Interesting play call there. Thought Acadia would try and run the ball out.
Right, and the last thing you need to be doing is taking more hits on your quarterback. Kyle Graves has played outstanding today, and the last thing you need is for him to be taking shots and potentially hurt him for the playoffs.
Minute 18 left in the game. 3rd down, third and probably about 22 yards. Acadia sets up to punt, knowing that there's going to be some pressure on this play. They're going to have to hold their water here and try and get the ball out of bounds.
Right, they're going to have to protect very well, and then, of course, the ever-dangerous Jameek Taylor back there. They're going to have to get downfield, throw out the net, cinch it tight, and make the tackle.
And that was St. Mary's last time out. So then St. Mary's now is going to be in their 2-minute offense.
They're going to get the ball with about a minute 10 left in this game. They're down by 13, 41-28. Again, look for them to go vertical on that Acadia DB core, which has been exposed early in the game.
Graves sets up. Jameek Taylor set up in the middle. The crowd begins to arise.
Great quick kick by Graves. Gets
bounces. And Taylor with no chance to get anything there. Gets to about the 55-yard line. St. Mary's now scrimmaging the ball. 41-28. Minute 9 left in the game. St. Mary's needs a quick score here. Look for them to pull out all the stops. This is for home field advantage.
Home field advantage. More importantly, it's the bye. Both teams we talked about earlier in the game, they're coming in banged up into this game. They have some injuries they need to nurse. Well, it's not going to get easier from here. Both teams have to go play another hard-fought game next week. And then, well, as the score stands right now, it looks like Acadia is going to be hosting that championship game and is going to get that week off.
How doesn't Luke Falwell know he's on the field with a minute 9 seconds left in the game is beyond me. Wow.
So St. Mary's perspective, they have to go deep. We saw them execute some great intermediate routes last couple drives, moving the ball downfield before Stoke's interception. But with 1:09 left, you really don't have any time for that. You need 2 scores to win this game. You need to go deep. You need to throw the ball vertically, get the ball downfield, and have your receivers make a play. Look for them to roll some coverage towards Tremblay and Blackman, 3 and 27 respectively. And look for checkdowns to be Woothridge in about the 15 to 20 yard area, who's coming off the field and probably won't be a factor in this last part of the game. But look for Jameek Taylor to see some looks downfield as well.
Looks like a shoulder injury for Woodridge there, coming out of the game.
A fact that only I would know, he did have a shoulder injury back with the Edmonton Eskimos, forced him to miss some time in rehab when he's on the practice roster there. This is a pretty big blow, not only right now, but going down the stretch, because he's been, in terms of receptions, their leading receiver today, has been made some great intermediate routes as he gets looked at by the head athletic therapist.
The crowd comes to life right now. Acadia looking to finish the game. 1:09 left, 41-28. Empty set, Creighton looking. Mike Benson coming off the edge with a big hit there. Mike Benson bringing the heat on the side. Jack Creighton taking a low shot in the low ankle.
Now Mike Benson shows up on your game program as a weak side linebacker, but he does more than that. He played with the Winnipeg Rifles as a defensive end, came in here as defensive end, but as he became more physically able, faster, quicker, leaner, moved into that weak side linebacker spot, but still holds that defensive end mentality of pass rushing, and they like to use it here at the bottom of your screen. Watch him rush the passer.
Empty set right now, 4-2. Creighton gets on the sprint. Benson coming on the heat again. Andrew Rowe the tackle. Oh, and John Shreve manages to get outside. John Shreve with his first reception of the game. As we said, Shreve does it all. Plays receiver, running back, DB, free safety, corner. Does whatever Coach Smith tells him.
Again, Mike Benson there at the bottom, who's on the bottom of your screen that last play. Backdoored that slide protection block, came in behind the tackle, in front of the guard, got upfield, beat the running back, forced a hard, quick throw by Creighton to the outside.
You hear the crowd coming to life again at Acadia. 59 seconds left. 3rd and short. 3-2 set. Legier in at tail. Tremblay stems the line. Cam Wade gives chase, forces him into an incomplete throw, and what a bad penalty. Maybe after fact. That was after the fact. We'll see what the call is. But Coach Cummins is going to lose his mind on Andrew Rowe on that late hit.
Game was over. Incomplete pass.
The buses started, and now this is what happens here. This game is not over. Oh. Unnecessary roughness.
Another somewhat missed call there. It looked pretty darn late by Andrew Rowe. Andrew Rowe is going to try and get as far away as Coach Cummins as he can before he gets. And Shad McLaughlin has defensive coordinators a couple words to them, and Andrew Rowe seems to try and tell him that I thought the ball was in his hands or something.
Everything that Rowe says right now is going to be held against him in film tomorrow.
Eye in the sky don't lie, Kevin Garbullo, and tomorrow's no different.
Yeah, and that, but with no timeouts left, Acadia could milk the clock, most of the clock out here with 54 seconds left. They just got to get if they get a first down here, it's over.
One first down will seal this game off. 13-point lead with less than a minute left. The crowd is a lot of energy today.
As Acadia right now travels to X next week to secure the home field, but this was the pivotal match right now. Hopefully they don't come down too low, but this was a great game for the Axemen. Skibbin fighting for yards.
Drags down a defender with him.
50 seconds left. Second and 8 from the 36-yard line.
Barring a collapse next week in Antigonish, the Acadia Axemen look like they're about to lock up their first 7-1 season in a long time. And more importantly, as we talked about, that home field advantage going into the championship game. You talked about it early. No team since the bye has been implemented has lost that championship game when hosting it.
And right now, last time Acadia hosted the championship, 2006, they beat St. Mary's in a very close game. Skibbin now falling forward. That should take the clock down. St. Mary's will probably get the ball back with probably around 8 seconds left.
Yeah, they'll take about maybe even less. They'll they'll catch the ball with about 8 seconds left. With 28 right now, they'll run 20 off before they punt it. They'll probably look for Acadia to take a timeout left with 1 second left on the play clock and 9 seconds left in the game. They'll bring the punt team back out. Probably get the punt with about 4 seconds left, and that could be the last play of the game.
Crowd right now in Acadia is a buzz, knowing that their hometown team is about to lock up a home field bye. Barring a collapse next week, they will get this bye, and it would be great now.
Especially with injuries. I mean, you have players like Falwell banged up. Reed Anderson took a shot on the ankle there last game. Jarrett Laycock is injured right now. Graham Richardson still recovering from a concussion and going through the whole process of coming back to practice still. Looks like he could be available for the playoffs. With Sean Stoka now in the mix at the other corner spot, looks like, and Chris Call showing his ability as a very good weak side corner. It looks like Acadia has some very strong chances of doing well these playoffs. They were beat deep early by St. Mary's. However, they made some assignment changes. They made some personnel changes, and those changes paid off against what St. Mary's came out and did in the beginning of that second half.
Everyone on the sidelines congratulating each other. Coach Tufford comes down. Coach Judd from the upstairs viewing porch come back down from the Eagles' Nest, coming down knowing that they have locked it up. 7.4 seconds left in the game. Acadia up 41-28. The key pivotal moment of this game was Cam Wade's big punt block that led to Evan Williams scooping and scoring late in the fourth quarter. St. Mary's right now looking dejected on the sidelines. People sitting there, players sitting there nursing injuries. Acadia brought it today. Their front forward decimated the St. Mary's starting O-line, knocking players out of the game, carrying two to the quarterback. Jack Creighton certainly has to be will be feeling it tomorrow, taking some shots late at the game from Cam Wade and John Wilson and Mike Benson.
The power gut was really the story of that front four. They able to harness all that power, get downfield, upfield at the quarterback, and make plays.
That's what those guys do. They're both sneaky athletic. Graves with the kick there, and Graves takes a shot. I see how the referees are not calling that today.
0 seconds left on the clock, and this is it.
A holding call on the play,
Which
it looks
will
like.
Be nullified.
And St. Mary's right now, some extracurricular, some dejected players. Devin Jones right there slapping his teammate's hand after getting handled. Don't understand why. Right now, this is home field advantage 1 for the Acadia Axemen.
However, Kyle Graves holding his right hand, which looks like he fell on, shaking it off, should be okay. That's the last thing you need is on a meaningless punt for him to miss some time. Hopefully everything's well with Kyle Graves. Player of the game, toss-up, but it looks like Mike Squires, you got to give it to, tied an AUS record of 4 receiving touchdowns in a single game, all thrown by Kyle Graves, who threw all of his 4 receiving touchdowns or passing touchdowns to Mike Squires on that day.
From the St. Mary's Huskies, number 11, Jack Creighton.
And with that, we'll return in 3 weeks' time, hopefully, when the Acadia Axemen take on a team to be determined in the AUS Championship. We're signing off now. For myself and Elliot Richardson, hope you enjoyed the show today. It was a great game to call and hope to see you all in a few weeks. Goodbye.